Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Tactical Devils. I'm your host, Jarvis Cocker, and my co host is Mr. Stu Woolley. And with us tonight, we have the special guest, ex Man United player Phil Marsh, and Mark Nurse. Mark N is going to join us. I don't know where he is. So if you know Mark, send him a WhatsApp and say, get your ass on the show, man. We are live. Yeah, it's good to have you all. I see a lot of people in the house. I see Burba, Royden Frost, Stephanie Griffith always here, comes in with big up Jarvis Legend, and Abs is here, big up Abs. Ahmad is free from 10, Haram is here, Will Man United 99, and Rosh Mano, the man himself, coming in with all these breaking transfer news. And guys, if you haven't, you have to go and check out Transfers MUFC. That's Roshmano's transfer channel on Twitter, or X, as we like to say. And he gave me the idea for the show, and tonight's show we are going to talk a little bit about Garnacho, because the breaking news is Garnacho's agent is spotted watching the Chelsea Wolves game, and apparently now Garnacho has interest from Chelsea, not only Newcastle, Napoli.
Yeah.
Yes, so it will be interesting. And what Rosmano is telling me is as follows. This is what we have. So this is something that has been going on for a long time now, and it's not the first time he wants out, and he's not prepared to fight for his position. So Amarim, he wanted a reaction, and the reaction from Garnacho is to try to force a move. So he pushes for a move, and the reports for the Garnacho sale is coming from. Has been kind of an ultimatum. They want a reaction, and if they don't get it, he's not the right fit. So it's a clever move from the management, and especially Amarim. He wants players who will bleed for the badge and run hard and work hard all the time. And for me, feels like Garnacho at the moment not actually wants to do all the tracking back. You don't want to start as a wing back, and I feel the number 10 position, where he's more central, is more of a difficult role for him. So it will be interesting to see the challenge with Garnacho. Will he stay? Will he move? But apparently he is pushing for a move. So I just want to start with talking a little bit about football and tactics. So I will ask Phil Marsh a question, because you used to play as a striker yourself, as a number 9, if I understand. But how different is it to play as a winger or a number 10 or a wing back? How would you describe it on a high level? What's the difference?
Yeah, so I mean, to be fair, I did play in quite a few different positions. I was a number 9, but I also played out wide, and I have played as a number 10 as well. So I have had the experience in playing in all the sort of attacking positions. I think, obviously at the top level, the sort of old traditional number 9, that has sort of phased out of the game now. When you sort of watch modern day football, you don't really see teams playing with 2 up top anymore.
Yeah.
It's all 4-3-3 or that kind of inverted strikers type of thing. So I think nowadays the sort of central striker's got to be able to have a little bit of everything in his game. I think he's got to be able to running behind. He's got to be able to come and drop off and link the play, and also be sort of flexible and interchange with the players that are playing on the left and right side of the front three. For me personally, I used to really, really enjoy playing as an old school number 9, having that tussle with your centre half, having that relationship with the other player up front, having, sort of, when one goes short, the other one's got to be stretching the pitch and going in behind. And yeah, I mean, to be fair now, even though, some of the styles of play that you see now in the modern day is really easy on the eye, and when it comes off, it looks brilliant. For me, I really sort of get frustrated a lot of the time with not just Man United players. I watch a lot of football across the board, and You just feel as though some of the time players aren't doing enough. They can go 15, 20 minutes without, really getting involved or touching the ball. And I think in the old school game, it was more prevalent where you're always involved, even if it's making a run and creating space for somebody else. A lot of the time now, you see players and they just don't really seem to be doing enough. So yeah, it definitely has changed. I think obviously the game now is a lot more technical. There's a lot more passing phases, whereas back when I was playing, it was a lot more direct, get the ball out wide, get balls into the box, into your striker set and spin, get yourself into the box and give yourself the best chance of getting on the end of something and scoring goals. So yeah, but as I say, I think playing in a wide position now, a lot of the players aren't looking to just cross the ball, get the ball into the box, because I think whether it's the managers or whether the styles of play and the philosophies have completely changed. It's more coming inside and trying to play perfect football, wanting to touch sometimes. I preferred back in the day, you knew what you was going to get. Balls were going out wide. You knew that was going to be a touch and deliver, or a fullback was overlapping and the ball's getting to the bar line and getting whipped in. As a centre forward, it's really difficult to, when you're waiting and you're not sure and you don't understand if a cross is going to be coming in and you've not got that relationship with the players to know, certain patterns. It's really difficult, and you've seen obviously with Højlund for ourselves, we've pinpointed him and looked at him and sort of dissected his game over the last sort of 12, 18 months. And as I say, I do feel sorry for him at certain points because he's looking around and he's not knowing when the balls are coming in the box. He's trying to show off to feet and players are playing balls in behind. So it just doesn't look like we've got that real chemistry. And I think obviously that comes down to relationships playing. We've had a lot of injuries. We've had a lot of players coming in and out, and we don't really seem to have a settled, attacking front line. We don't have a settled midfield. We don't have a settled back four. And again, that has massive knock-on effects as a striker because you need to know exactly, what's coming and what your role is in the team and what you know.
Yeah, it's interesting, Phil, and you mentioned a lot of things, but modern day football, you have the players, especially young players, and when you were at Man United, you were a young player, and I feel today, I think they're coming up at a young age, and they are kind of a specialists, and I think you're not fully developed as a 18-year-old, 19-year-old, 20-year-old. You still have time to develop your game and learn. And for me, I think it should be a challenge for a player like Garnacho to actually try to adapt to play as a number 10 or as a wing back and put in the extra effort to learn the game. Because as I say, I think you're not a specialist at that young age. Or am I wrong? Because I have been wondering how it is at the top level. Do you have a comment for that?
Yeah, no, I think, if you, was you referring to someone like Ahmad, who's obviously came in and...
For example.
Yeah. So, yeah, to be fair, obviously for him, he's came in, he's been a breath of fresh air, really, in terms of his attitude, the way his application and all that kind of side of things. He's been brilliant, and I think a shining light, really, in a really, really poor season overall. So, for me, when you look at a young player, that's the kind of response, that's the kind of sort of output that you want. Obviously, he's going to have poor games as a young player. You're never going to be consistent in the finished article. Yep. So, with him, we've seen glimpses of amazing play and brilliance. But overall, what we've seen in terms of even when he's not been, at his best and he's not maybe had a massive impact on the game, what we have seen and what we've massively lacked throughout this team is the right attitude, the work rate, the sort of application to still try and do the right things, even though, as I said, young players, they are going to make mistakes. They're going to try things. They're going to do things that maybe frustrate some of the older players. But again, that's a learning curve, and you sort of you learn as you go along. If you like, when you're a young player, sort of you may do something 2 or 3 times and think, all right, well, that's not really paid off, so I'm going to maybe change it. And obviously, some of the senior pros might have a little pop at you, but one thing I will say in terms of, just isolating Ahmad, in this conversation.
Yeah.
He looks to me as though, on the training pitch, he's working hard. In the games, he's applying himself really well. He's doing all of the things that you'd want in terms of his work rate, his attitude, his performances. So, yeah, again, he's a prime example of what you would want from as a manager from a young player. Now we've seen different players come in and maybe not hit the heights that he has, and we've also seen players that have come in who, again, we've just touched on, obviously, Garnacho at the moment. He sort of seems to be looking as though he wants to force a move away. So you can see the difference in the attitudes there in terms of if we've got a player who doesn't want to be at the club first and foremost, then, that's a massive problem. You can't afford to carry players. You can't afford, especially at the moment, the way, we are and the way that we're playing. You cannot afford to be carrying players. So if we've got lads that are coming out on a Saturday and they don't even want to be here, then we're playing with a man less before we've even kicked the ball.
Yeah, that seems to be the problem.
Yeah. And for me, that we need to, that's a massive indicator as a player and as a sort of, if you're a coach and you're looking at that, then that's a massive problem. You can't have players in the changing room that aren't fully committed, fully behind the course of what we're trying to do. We're obviously going through a really poor, bad moment in the season as well. So this is where you find out a lot about the characters and about the players that want to, you really sort of, dig in and sort of try and battle through this really tough spell. It seems to me like we've got, and I wouldn't even say it's one or two. It looks like there's a real, group of players within that changing room at the moment that aren't either up for the fight or have sort of give in or don't want to be here, and it's being reflected in the performances and obviously with the manager's comments, which was really surprising. Actually, I didn't expect them kind of comments to come out from Amarim, but I think what he said, a lot of fans are probably agreeing and thinking the same thing, and sort of just got to the end of the tether really with the sort of inconsistencies of performances. And you can't turn up one week like we did against Liverpool, show a really good performance, battling, fighting for each other, putting their bodies on the line, and then turn up the week later and look like you just don't give a toss.
That's the strangest thing. That's the strangest thing. Yeah,
you cannot at any level of football, you can't turn up and not do the bare minimum. But especially at the top level and at a club like Manchester United, the expectation and sort of the history of the club, you can't afford players to be going on that pitch and just putting in like 4 or 5s out of 10. It's just it's just not acceptable. I think that's a massive issue at the moment where as the manager, he's got a real big task on his hands in terms of weeding these players out, and it's not as easy as just getting rid of the players, because we know a lot of them are on big contracts. We know a lot of them are happy to just sit on the money or do whatever they want to do with the because the player power now is so big. So yeah, massive problems, and don't envy the job the manager's got at the moment.
Great answers. A lot of inside knowledge. Before we go to Stu, I just want to add Mark coming into the show. Big up, Mark.
Good night, guys.
Good to see you. I'm glad you're here, Mark, because we are going to speak a little bit about transfers today, and you know all the ins and outs when it comes to transfers. So I need your expertise on this field. So Stu, when we talked about strikers, what's your opinion? Because I still stand with young players should be able to adapt and they should be willing to learn. They shouldn't be set in, let's say, I'm a winger. I will forever be a winger. They should be able to adapt, playing as a wingback, playing as a number 10, and learn different roles. And another question, and I will bring that to Phil afterwards. I just want to say, when you are at a high level at a club like Man United, there's so many coaches available. You have so much technology. You have so many people who can help you out to adapt your game. Why does it seem like it's so hard for young players to actually learn new tricks?
I'm going to use my modern, my favorite phrase or word even, and that's modernism.
Modernism's the mother of all fuck-ups in football today. And that's because when Phil was 5, 6, 7, and 8, he knew what a number 9 was. He knew exactly where he had to be. He knew exactly where he needed to play. None of this fucking flim-flam. I'll do you a nice hybrid, play a 9-10. No fucking wide players. None of that shit. I'm a number 9. All right, you're in that box. The cross is definitely going to come in, and I want you to meet it. That's my era, and that's Phil's era. Let's move it on now to Højlund's era. When he was very, very young, that's where he would have positioned himself as a number 9. He would have been watching his heroes, whoever his heroes were, be it Ruud van Nistelrooy, be it, I don't know, Didier Drogba, it doesn't really matter. They were straightforward, up in your face, number 9s, goal scorers, fucking machines. That's what they were. Don't give a fuck what you do outside the box. Don't care. My role is to do one thing, and that's to score goals. Højlund then gets to 9, 10, and 11. So much changed. The bald fraud has come in, if one for the better phrase, and he decided to change Messi into this false 9 at Barcelona. And all this is happening and developing in and around a young player. And then FIFA, he starts dicking about with FIFA with his mates, and all this changes. The whole essence of football and what we know as football, what we know as a number 9, goes out the window because everybody loves modernism. They all like to think they're the next great manager. Well, the best managers do everything simple. I promise you now, they really do. And Phil will tell you this. Phil will tell you he would go into Manchester United every day, simplicity first. Then they might work on the technical stuff. It was simple, simplicity first. If I tell you to play a 5-yard pass, you're playing a 5-yard pass, the end. None of this, I'll get the ball, I'll try and turn, I'll try a little Rabona or a little rainbow flick, and I'll get myself in there. It just doesn't happen anymore. This is what I want you to do. This is where you're going to be, because I promise you now, Giggs is going to find you. And that's what it was like. Ronaldo's going to find you. Ravel Morrison, he will find you. These players will find you if you are there. If you're not there, they've got nothing to find. So Højlund's in this situation. And by the way, he's not helping himself. We've discussed this on many occasions. He's not helping himself. He hasn't decided what type of forward he is. Now, Phil was mentioning quite rightly, he was a fighter. He'd like to go in up against the likes of Van Dijk or whatever. I'm just using any player. Go in at Van Dijk, have a fight with him, wrestle him off the ball, give him something to think about. We had a conversation 2 weeks ago, Joe, where it demonstrated Højlund doesn't upset anybody, doesn't upset a centre-half. Phil would do that. Now, as a defender, I'd love it. I'd love Phil to be backing into me, treading on my toes, elbowing me, grabbing my shirt, because I'd be doing the same to him. And he wouldn't cry about it. He'd just want to get the very, very, very best of me, and I'd want to do the same to him. That's what football's about. Today, Højlund is in this twilight zone, this Bermuda Triangle, and he can't break through because he just doesn't know where he needs to be or what's expected of him, because he doesn't know what Garnacho, he doesn't know what Ahmad's going to do half the time, he doesn't know what Rashford's going to do, doesn't know what Bruno's going to do, Maino or Agate. He's got no understanding of those players about what they're going to do. Back again, when Phil was a nipper, he knew that Beckham was going to put it in there. Thanks, bang, peel away, arm in the air, or whatever your celebration was, Phil. Knee slide. He just knew it. He just knew it. Bex has got the ball, bang, I'm away. Fuck off, I'm gone. Elbow the centre half, and I'm gone, and I'm there, I am putting the centre half, the goalkeeper, the ball, and me in the fucking net if I've got to.
Yeah.
That happened. I promise you now, it happened more often than not, didn't it, Phil? You would stick your head in where it fucking hurt.
Just quickly on that, Stu, just to sort of say, because as you say, we very, very quickly, we used to train, and it used to be very simple drills. Nothing that would overcomplicate you, but a lot of the time when we did do sort of phases of play and patterns, as I say, every time as a centre forward, there was a player on the pitch who received the ball, I knew exactly what I should be doing. Now, in a game of football, obviously you change positions and sometimes you can't be there, but just generically speaking, where you're set up in the centre of the pitch, my fullback's on the ball. I know that, one of us has got to be showing feet, the other one's got to be spinning into the channel or offering something to sort of stretch the pitch. Midfielder's got the ball, one's coming short, one's looking long. And I think, as you say, nowadays it seems to me like we don't sort of have these patterns of play, because I look at Højlund, and obviously I'm a former striker and attacker, so I look at the attackers more so than ever and scrutinise what they're doing. And I don't really see much movement. I don't really see, much idea of, oh, right, well, that's what he was trying to do. Or, when a player's got the ball, right, he should be pulling off his centre half to get into that space. And I don't see any of that. So I'm a little bit concerned about, what are we working on in training in terms of, I'm not asking for loads and loads of, masses of like trying to overcomplicate things and give players too much to think about. But as a centre forward, you've got to have your bread and butter, and you've got to know, right, when he's on the ball, I need to be offering that. When he's in this position, I've got to know he's going to be delivering the ball. When I'm here, I need to make sure that I'm giving him an option. And I watch, strikers across the board, and I think it's a massive problem nowadays because of the way football's gone. They're getting so many cross wires, too overcomplicating, and players are just getting lost, I think, in what their actual role in the team is.
100%. And Phil, I think that's exactly where Højlund is. I mean, if you were playing with Giggsy and Beckham, right, you knew you were quicker than Becks, but you knew you were slower than Giggsy, right? So you make an adjustment in your game. So if Becks had got the ball, you got a little bit more time. If Giggsy's got the ball, you're fucked. If you're behind him, you're fucked. Because if you can't catch him over, there's a 5-yard gap, you'll never catch him. You know that as well as I do. So if you see the ball migrating out to the left-hand side, you're 2 yards, 3 yards, 4 yards higher than where you would be if Becks had got the ball. And that's just basic football. And as a defender, I'm thinking, and I'm watching you do this. Now, I'm not going to get you first, second, even 3 times. I'm not going to quite grasp what you're doing. But eventually I will do. And as I do, Phil, at this level, you've got to take that short window of where the defender's panicking to get in and get your goal, maybe even 2. Well, once I've got it, once I've understood and I see the pattern of play, then I'm going to make my adjustment. So then you've got to readjust again to try and get the better of me. And that's just football 101, isn't it, Phil? It's nothing. It's nothing major. It's nothing revolutionary. It's just football 101. Now,
it's getting to know the players as well, because as you just then, like, in terms of having that relationship, like, I'd know a specific player, I'm just throwing anyone out there, but say it was Scholesy on the ball, I know because he's passing range, I could make a run and he could put it in that position. Whereas if it's somebody else, I might think, oh, well, he's not got that maybe passing range, so I'll do something different. And I think that's where, as a player, you've got to have that knowledge, know your players, know who you're playing around and where you're playing with. And that's where then it gives you that extra 5-10%. And I think for us, when you're watching it, and again, it doesn't help because we're chopping and changing quite a lot, but it doesn't even seem like they're building up them little, relationships and little bits of knowledge around each other of what certain players like, what the capabilities are, and giving us that extra little bit of an edge. It just seems like everything's off the cuff. Everyone's sort of in what's going on.
It's really interesting you mentioning this, because under Amarim in Sporting, Jokenes, I would say about 80% of the time, he ran a diagonal to the front post every time when the cross came, and they had a opposite movement, like a, what do you call it, a zigzag movement from the number 10, a crossover from the number 10 who went to the back post always. And it was repetitive, and the wingers knew it, and the number 10 knows it, and Jokenes knows it. So it's okay that Amarim is chopping and changing his team a lot, but these players should be able to talk to each other.
Oh yeah,
they should. Because I remember when I played football in my days, I always talked to my players before the game. Today, I will try to do this. Every time you drop down, I will run in behind in the pocket, and all those small things. So a lot of the essence of tactics is not only on the managers. It's about the players working out and making deals how to play.
You know why we can't rely on him, don't you, Jarvis? We can't rely on Højlund to do that, because if I'm, honestly, Sunday evening comes and I'm Fulham and I'm whoever is playing centre-half at that particular time, I'm dropping off Højlund. I'm going to give him 10 yards. I don't care. I'm going to give him 15 yards. Do you know why? Because when he controls the ball, he's got to do a fucking turning circle of 3 million degrees to even get forward. And when he gets forward, He's so predictable. I'm just going to block pass him. That's all I'm going to do. I'm just going to block him. I'm going to stand in, block him. That's all I'm going to do. And it's easy to mark somebody like Phil. It'd be an absolute fucking nightmare because he's a live wire. So you've got to do everything you can to stop him, shirt pulling. You know, obviously we would never do this, would we, Phil, in our playing days? But, you know, Achilles stamping or, you know, we would never do that, would we, Phil? Or anything like that. Or Phil's going with the bollocks with his, you know, with his elbow. You know, we wouldn't do that, would we, Phil? Never in a million years. But Hoyland won't do that. He's not nasty. He just isn't fucking nasty enough.
Yeah.
And you've got to be able to do that, haven't you, guys?
Yeah, and just something I was thinking then, obviously, when you're speaking about, obviously, you know, when I say about chopping and changing, that isn't an excuse. And I think part of the problem for me is, like, I was thinking, obviously, when I was involved in the first team, the opportunities that I got, obviously, when I did, I'm sort of watching, I'm looking at every single bit of information that I can pick up. I'm hanging on every single word that the coaches and you know, some of the strikers are saying, and, you know, giving advice and all that kind of thing. So if, for example, Ruud van Nistelrooy did have to come off and I was coming on, I'm coming on and I'm knowing exactly. I mean, I'm not going to be as good as him, obviously, but I'm knowing. I know what position I need to be in. I know what I need to be offering in that position. I know when Bex has got the ball or wherever, I need to make sure I'm in a position where he can, you know, find me in the box. I think when you look at our players now, obviously, you know, a lot of these are seasoned pros and they shouldn't need to know this information. It should just be second nature at this point in the career. But what I look at that team and think is some of these players don't really seem to me as though they're that bothered. It doesn't seem as though if they are getting called upon, that, you know, this is what the expectation is. If you're playing in this position, you need to know that, you know, you need to be in this position here when this is happening. You need to offer this. You need to make sure that when he's there, he's, you know, I look at the players now and I think someone's gone off injured or someone's, you know, he's made a change. Someone's coming on. They don't know what they don't know what they're doing. They don't know what the expectation of that role is. They don't seem to sort of have, you know, the attitude of I'm coming in here and I'm keeping this shirt. You're not getting this back. I know you're injured, but or whatever.
Do you know what the problem is, Phil? Do you know what the problem is, Phil?
They're not bothered.
It's when you were younger. Sorry, Mark, we'll bring you in, mate. Sorry. But when you were younger, Phil, right? If you were being beaten up in a reserve match or whatever, you could go outside. You could go to Rio. You could go to Vidic or, you know, whoever and say, look, I got an arse kicking in the reserves. Can you work with me just for a couple of hours? What do you want from me, then? I need you to beat me up. Beat me when I'm backing into you. I need you to beat me up and then tell me how to stop you beating me up. What's to stop? What is to stop Hoyland getting on the phone to Rio saying, listen, Rio, can you come down to Carrington for a couple of hours with me twice a week? I need to know how to play against a defender. I need to know what I'm doing. How do I back into you? I mean, you told me you've done, you know, stuff of that nature before, training with your left foot or whatever. Where's all that gone? Why is that gone out the window?
That has gone, Stu, and you can see that because, as I say, when I was at the club, obviously I was lucky enough to be around some of the best to ever do it. So I wasn't going to miss the opportunity to try and better myself, pick their brains, and, you know, do extra shooting, extra training, extra bits and bobs because I needed to do it anyway. But I wanted to do it more than anything because I had the opportunity to work with Rooney, Van Nistelrooy, Scholes. Why, as a young kid, would you not take that opportunity? You just wouldn't. I think now, you know, when you look at the modern footballers, as soon as they finish training, they can't wait to get out of there. They can't wait to get away. I want to get on the phone and I want to be doing this and going out here and I've got my businesses. And football's secondary to a lot of these people now because they've got so much going on. You can see that in the sort of performances, the attitude, the body language, the sort of way they don't really. At the end of a game, you know, it doesn't hurt enough. It doesn't. You know, when I was at the club, if we lost a game, it was like World War II in training the day after because you'd be, you know, chomping at the bit to get back out and prove a point. Everyone's like fuming and whatever. It just doesn't. The culture's just completely changed. And again, I think that's massively why, you know, we're sort of so heightened in the way that we look at it because we've seen obviously how brilliant and how great it was back in the, you know, late 90s and early 2000s, especially with that culture and the way that the, you know, the training standards and the characters we had and the sort of leaders and whatever. What we are now, it's just chalk and cheese. So it is hard. I get the game's changed, but you've got to want it yourself as a professional. You've got to want to do the extra work. You've got to want to improve yourself. You've got to need, to sort of prove people wrong. A lot of these players are just going through the motions, and that's just not acceptable.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Yeah.
I
Mark.
actually just had a question, actually, to be fair, because Jarvis made a good point, and Phil, you made a real good point, and of course, well, still talking about everything that I believe, because I grew up in that era with, Dwight York is my hero at Man United,
Yeah,
and to be fair, like, he was one of the best headers of the ball in world football, and for us to not have a striker who able to header the ball is something real unfamiliar for me. Is strange. Not only that, but I feel like, we ask about Hoyland, what his mistakes are, what he is doing, right? And he doesn't have anyone to really lead by example, that will show him, well, what he should be doing in these moments, right? But the questionable thing for me is that, are the players providing him with a systematic pass in each game that he could look forward to? Because we could focus on him all day of the week, and at the end of the day, well, the players around them have to help him as well. Like, Ahmad might not be able to deliver the same pass as Bruno, but only Ahmad could tell him, listen, I could put this there for you. I need you to be here. Same thing with Bruno, same thing with Joshua Zirkzee or any other one who playing around him, or Garnacho. Because for me, I feel like he just makes moves, and because the players, don't know that he's going to do that, they just can't find him. Or sometimes maybe I see him make some runs that show up in some games, a diagonal that he's make when he's on the left side of the box. He's kind of run to the last post, right? I've seen him do it like about 5-6 games, but he hasn't done it in the last game at all. And but every time he does it, his run is used as a decoy. So could that also be like, kind of taken away from his enthusiasm to make runs? The fact that he's been mostly used as a decoy every time he makes runs.
Yeah, no, definitely. Because as I say, as a striker, you want to be getting on the end of things. You want to be, getting opportunities to score goals. And if you're just making runs and you're not getting any service, and you just feel as though you're doing it like sort of to create space for other people, at some point you are going to get frustrated, and you are going to be, thinking, what's the point? And I think, especially at the moment, because as you just said, some of the other players, you can point the finger at Hoyland, but again, it comes down to you're only as good as the service that's coming into the box. And if the service is coming into the box, you don't know what to expect. People are cutting back inside. You're making, because as a striker, the worst thing about it is if that ball's there to be crossed and you're making that run, the timing's right, and then they don't cross the ball, that's it then, because you're either offside or you've got to come back out and then retime the run again, and it's difficult. I think what we're finding at the moment with the way we are, because there's no continuity and there's no real relationships with certain players in terms of when players are going to cross the ball, when he's in a position and know where he's going to be putting it. As a striker, you sort of, that's your, food and drink, and you're not getting any of it. So you've got to look all over the pitch and say, yeah, all right, he might not be offering, enough in terms of making good runs and intelligent runs, because as a striker, I watch Hoyland sometimes and I think, you're wasting your time. Why are you making runs there? Like, that's never going to get the ball, first and foremost. And two, you're just wasting your energy. You keep your energy, you keep yourself ready. And then when you're ready to go and it's on, bang, you coil spring, you're gone. And you make that move. You make the player play the pass. The movement's got to be there for you to get the, like we used to say, I mean, going back to again when I played, this was all about eye contact. I get the eye contact. That player on the ball knows by my movement, I want the ball in that position. And I'm not going through the motions. I'm taking my defender away, and then I'm sprinting into that, and I'm making him play the pass. He's got to play it. Otherwise, I'm fuming. I'm ripping his head off for not playing the ball.
That's it. See, Mark, your observation is absolutely spot on, because if Phil's, and I was about to say that, Phil, you took the words right out of my mouth. Phil goes in half time and he's had 3 chances for the ball to come across him. He's in a brilliant position. You're kicking the shit out of the fucking wingers. You really are. You're kicking the shit out of them. Don't fucking talk to me. You better start delivering. And Hoyland's not that vocal. He's not that angry. He's not that aggressive. And you have to be be a top level striker. You've got to be the best. Phil, I tell you, if Ruud van Nistelrooy didn't score, be somewhere else in that fucking dressing room. Be somewhere else. Yeah. That was his. Look, my job is to score. You ain't created. Don't fucking talk to me. I don't want to talk to any of you, and it'd be somewhere else. Same with Scholes if he was off his game. These are the elite level players, Mark. You know, your brother, that's what he's got to aspire to. Now he'll hate it when you talk to him. You know all this anyway, fella. You're an ex-international, etc. Jarvis, really good, solid player. We've all been there playing football. I'm still at it, believe it or not. I can't fucking believe it, but I am. But what we're talking about, right, isn't rocket science. We don't overcomplicate football. As soon as you overcomplicate it, you're finished. You're finished. And this is where I believe Højlund is. It's an overcomplicated, not system for him, but an overcomplicated era of football for him. He just doesn't know what he is. He really doesn't. And me and Jarvis did a tactical show the other day. I think it was against Southampton. And me and Jarvis were saying, what the fuck's he doing out wide on the left? And Garnacho's in there. What the fuck's going on here? Get yourself where you should be, rather than Garnacho. It's something isn't working for him. Amarim doesn't know how to use him or is fed up with him. And I can't work out what it is. Or his teammates fed up with him. Well, I played in, I'm a defender, so it's easy for me, but I played in teams where we are fed up with the striker because he's not holding the ball up. Every time the ball goes up, it's bouncing off his shin, it's bouncing off his knee, he's being bullied by the centre-half, the ball's coming back. You don't get any respite. As a striker, Phil, I tell you again, you've got to hold the fucking ball. You have to hold the ball. Even if you don't do anything with it, just hold the ball because it allows you to move up 5 yards. He doesn't even do that, does he, Phil?
No. You've got to bring other people into the game. You've got to get a free kick. You've got to put your body in. You've got to link the play. And then a lot of the time as well, what I get frustrated with, we used to have like little phases of play. It'd come into your striker, you'd set it back into the midfield. And then you straight away, you're on your bike then, you're getting forward. You're not standing round. You're knowing as soon as I set that ball, right, I'm getting in the box. Or I'm getting up to the top of the pitch because I know it's going out wide and I know a ball's going to be in the box. And if I'm ambling up towards the box, I'm going to miss the tip. I'm missing a shot on goal potentially. And I don't see enough urgency in the play. I don't see enough. Players are just setting it and then, that's my job done and strolling around. That's not going to cut it because what you've got to do is you've got to be there as an option to get the ball played into you. You've got to set it, but then you're a centre forward. You've got to be in the box. You've got to be an option for someone to play a ball into you and cross it and get across the near post or get in that back post or arriving late in the penalty area, bang. Some of these players playing it out wide. And then to be fair, this is partly probably some of the reason why the ball goes out wide. The ball's been played into the centre forward who's laid it off, and now he's ambling into the box. There's no one in the box. There's no one there. So the wingers are looking up and going, "Oh right, well I'll have to cut back here because no one's in there." No, you've got to be out your feet and bang, and you're running as a striker. You're running onto the ball. Your movement's coming in, and you're getting across your defenders, giving them problems. Because if you just stood still waiting for it, then that's no good because they're just going to come and win it. And there's not enough urgency and sort of quality in the play where I'm seeing at the moment where I'm seeing it bang into a striker set. Oh, wow, bang, he's in the box as well. Look at that. Brilliant, that. That's what you work on in training. Into the feet, bang, set back, bang out wide, get in, whip a ball in. Because as I say, wingers as well. I used to love, and this is when I used to play out wide. As a centre forward, I knew when I'm out wide, I know what kind of service I want into the box. So a lot of the time, I wouldn't even try and beat the man. I didn't need to beat him. I had pace to burn, but I didn't need to beat him because I knew earlier it's better for a centre forward. Touch out my feet, whack, just round that back four, just in that little corridor in front of the goalkeeper, and just give someone something to go and try and get on the end of. I'm not trying to pick a man up. I'm just putting it in an area for someone to go and attack. And I think that's where the football has changed now. It's too intricate. There's too, cutting inside.
God, yeah. The other thing, Phil, is, and I know this is going to sound dense to anybody who's listening, what I'm about to say is going to sound dumb. But you've got to learn to miss, haven't you, Phil? You've got to be in there to fucking miss. Yeah. You've got to be in there to score. Yeah. You've got to be in there to miss.
Yeah. If you're in the right position, you're not going to score every single time. You're not going to get on the end of it every time. But if you're in the position and you're in the box, you're giving yourself a chance to get on the end of it. you're putting people off. Sometimes you might not get it, but you might make the defender, took his eye off it, and it deflection, and then it falls to somebody else, and they get a shot. Or, it's an own goal. Sometimes you're getting across someone, it might just flick off someone. But if you're ambling into the box and you're just putting yourself, in a position where it might fall to you, I'll just put myself here, it might fall here. No, well, that's not good enough.
No.
You've got to want to get on the end of a cross.
Exactly.
Go and win the ball. Go and put your head in where it hurts.
Missing gets you sharpness, doesn't it? If you're in there, you miss. It doesn't matter. It's your sharpness. I've got my header on there. I've got me shoulder. I've got my cross. So.
And you'd be surprised as a striker how many times a ball falls in particular spots in the box. And if you've got that knack of being in the right place, that gets you 5 goals, 10 goals a season. That honestly I used to sometimes just think, you know what? I've missed time this run here, but I'm still alive. I'm just going to put myself in a position here because it might just drop here, and then bang, it drops. You've got to be first to react. Some of our players, you can see it. They don't want to react. It's like it's a chore to go and react in the box.
Yeah, I love that. I'm still alive in here. That's true, though, isn't it? You're still wriggling around. You're still alive. The Fernandez miss by Southampton. When he hit it straight to Nana, everyone was saying it was great. So the wonderful bit of staying alive play. Yeah. The ball bounces up. He muscles. I think it was De Ligt. Takes it on his chest, and he made the shot. He made that chance himself, irrespective of whether he missed it or not. He made that chance. So that's what being alive in the box is, guys. Now, if you're Jarvis, Mark, and you've got this sweet left peg, and it just glides off his foot. It's. I can only dream of having a peg like that, lads. I can only dream. Look at it.
The one.
Oh, you're too generous. You're too generous. Guys, I follow a lot of tactical channels on YouTube, and especially one guy that's caught my eye lately, and his name is CMX Football, and he made a special piece today about this. Højlund thing that we are talking about. So there's several aspects. I will show you some clips from his show, and the first one is about Gyökeres, how he's always a vocal point, receiving the ball, and he knows how to lay off the ball and keep it in play. And we see this with Højlund. He has a problem with this. So let me just add this to the stage, and we can have a look. It's about 1 minute. So. And if you haven't, go subscribe to this CMX Football. He's an up and coming YouTuber. He has like 3,000 subscribers, so he needs all the help he can get, and a lot of great content in my opinion. So have a look.
They're being pressed. When we're being pressed, when the ball is trapped in the corners of our side, after 1 or 2 passes, you're going to send it forward to the striker, and he's got to bring it down. Even if he can't hold on to it, just knock it on to one of the midfielders who should be rushing to receive that one-touch pass from him, as you're seeing Gyökeres do here. Now, here is an example of Højlund falling down to the ground every time someone gives him a pass, basically, in the Liverpool game. He fell down more in that Liverpool game than he won ground duels. That's not a joke. He literally fell down more times than he won ground duels. Like, it was like, what's up, man? Just stay on your feet. I don't even care if you don't get the ball. But in other games, you'll see.
So I just wanted to show you this, so we have a topic about Højlund and his hold-up play, because as a striker, Phil, did you work especially on that part of the game, holding up because everybody talks about strikers, it's all about scoring goals, XG, assists, goals, but this is an important part of the game, and for me, I'm not all about. I understand that Højlund won't score 30 goals this season, but I want him to improve, especially this part of the game, because we struggle sometimes. We get a little bit heavy in the back. We have flat 5 and a 4 and 1, and we don't seem to get out at times because we are put under pressure by the opposition. How can Højlund improve his game, and how did you actually work on this? How did you anticipate where the pass is coming, and did you have a regular pattern of play that you used to create?
Well, yeah. I think, to be honest, I mean, I feel a little bit foreign in terms of, I think the lack of quality that's going up to him isn't great. Now, that's not an excuse, because I used to have to deal with some, poor quality at times myself, because Certain times it's just the clearance. Certain times players haven't got the time where they can, take a touch, look up. You can do your movement and then play a ball. Sometimes it's frantic and someone's just got to, try and get a ball, into that final third. And then it's just on you then. Can you be proactive? Can you be on your toes? Can you get your body in? Can you use your body to protect the ball? Get your arm out. Don't let him come and nick it in front of you. Be on your toes. Be lively. Want to win that individual battle. Again, that comes down to the individual. I used to love that. That was probably, as a striker, obviously scoring goals is the best part of being a centre forward. But that individual battle, can you get in front of your man? Can you hold him off? Can you lay it off and spin? Can you get in down the channel, hold it up, set it, and then get it back in the box? All these little things, you're working on these in training. And for me, I was lucky because I was working with a lot of great defenders at the time. So, lads in my team was like Johnny Evans, Paul McShane, Ryan Shawcross, all these lads, great defenders, really tough, training with them every day. So you're having battles in training, which helps, obviously, because then when it comes to a match day, you're used to being against really good defenders, physical, getting balls up and trying to flick balls on as well. All this comes down to, for me, obviously, as a centre forward, you know what position you need to be in. You know how to hold up a ball, or you should do if you're playing at the top level. It's about when that ball's on its way or just before it's about to go, can you be sharp in the mind, sharp in the feet, get yourself in a position where the centre forward is going to have sort of the edge on the centre back? Because for me, as a centre back, if you're getting an opportunity to get tight and get a tackle in, you're giving them a chance then to sort of maybe get the ball. Can I create a little bit of space, a little bit of movement to take them one way to come and get that ball? Sometimes you can, sometimes you can't. If you can't, then it's about, can I be aggressive? Can I be, get myself in a position where I can hold the ball up, set it off, get into the box. All this kind of stuff you're working on every single day in training. It's got to come second nature. A lot of the time, for me, obviously, I was working with players and I knew the patterns of play. I knew when a fullback had the ball, I had to be in a position. So, 9 times out of 10, that ball's coming in with a bit more quality than, what Hoyland's getting, granted. But I'm giving myself a positional advantage because I know when this fullback's got the ball, I'm going to take the defender this way and then I'm going to spin into the space. So that gives me 10, maybe 5-10 yards to give that little bit of an edge, so that I should be getting to the ball first. And then you've got to be able to hold the ball. I'm not being funny. Like, balls are going to come at you, around your chest, around your neck. You've got to be able to get that ball and take it in. That's part of a centre forward job. Dealing with balls that are coming into you, with spin, with angle on an angle at your chest, at your thigh, spinning in at you. You've got to have a good touch as a centre forward. The first thing, if I was a manager now and I was looking at a centre forward, I would want a striker who had a really good first touch. Because if I can't play a ball into him and he can't hold the ball up, he's no use to me. I don't care if he can score loads of goals. He's no use to me because I'm going to be having to play balls into him and he's got to hold it up. He's got to be able to set it, he's got to be able to build it, get a platform. Nothing worse. As Stu, as a defender or as a midfielder, if a ball's going into your centre forward every 5 minutes and it's bouncing off him and it's not, you're not being able to break, get yourself up the pitch and build and sort of create a platform, you're pulling your hair out in the back. You're thinking, come on, man, I need to get up the pitch. I need to have a minute. You've got to offer that as a minimum as a centre forward. The best touch, they have the great movement. They can offer different things all over the pitch and they can score goals.
For me, as a defender, Phil, the worst is if a centre forward knows how to free himself. That's the worst. If you can learn how to free yourself early on in your career, when you haven't got the ball around you, if you can just learn to just get that little extra yard, and you've got that first touch, it really does go volumes. Now, you also, as a defender, you hate unpredictability. You want a predictable striker. I want somebody in who's going to tread on my toes, who's going to try and elbow. I want that predictability in front of me, so I haven't got to worry about him. If I got somebody in who can take it chest height, he can drop it down with the header, he can take it left foot, right foot, I've got a fucking problem because I don't know what he's going to do. I know he's going to do something, but I can't set myself. I've got to be straight on and square. I can't slightly turn because I know he takes it with his left foot and he always goes left. So I can't slightly turn ready to go. I can't turn right because if he takes it with his left foot and he always turns right, because I don't know what he's going to do with it. Unpredictability is a killer as a defender. If you've got an unpredictable forward, and if he's smaller as well, he's not bastard.
Yeah, the little
smaller. Yeah. Then what do? I mean, do you put your elbow on his fucking shoulder? No, because you're in trouble. You can't headbutt him because you're headbutting free air. It's a nightmare.
I think the great thing as well is, obviously, we're talking about Hoyland here, but, I'm going back to when we used to play as a partnership. The best feeling as well as a striker is, obviously, as an individual, you're playing well, you're getting balls into you, you're linking the play up, your touch is good, you're getting in the box, you're getting on the end of crosses. But then also having that opportunity to have combination play, like Mark touched on Dwight York and Andy Cole, that telepathic, being able to know my strikers, little overs, little 1-2s, that kind of stuff is like, that's the next level then. As an individual, you've got to be able to do X, Y, and Z. But then also when the defenders are trying to, now I know what he's, and then they've got an extra little bit to go, actually, you don't know what I'm going to do because now
exactly.
do little overs, and then, it's little combination plays, little one round the corner, all these little things are where now you look at our centre forwards and you look at our attacking play. All this is completely gone. This is like light years away from where we are now. But look at all the goals over United's history, and sort of some of the, obviously we've scored amazing goals, but like, centre forwards, proper goals, proper link up play, proper movement, balls into the box with quality, like making defenders like, you can't get there because it's just, you sometimes as a defender, you just got to hold your hands up and go, that is an unbelievable cross, or it's, there's not much I can do. Now,
totally agree.
Centre backs must be licking the lips, thinking, "I'm playing United this week. Cigars out." There's nothing happening. There's no creativity. There's no, off the cuff things that are going to surprise people. It's just everything's in, one dimensional. Bang, here it is in front of you. Balls are getting played up. It's a fight. It's, he's lost it. He's fell over. Back up. There's no, as a defender, you're not thinking, don't want to be playing against these today because, you never know what's going to happen. That's, and that's, as a United supporter, that's devastating because we want to be on the edge of our seat looking at attacking players going, wow,
attack.
Look at this. Look at this play. Look at that cross. Oh, look at the movement on him. He's, he's on fire today. Look, combinate, and none of that is happening, and it hasn't happened for, a long while. But that is where we need to get back, because football, when you look over the years at the best strikers, the best players, the best sort of goals and team play, it's all come from them little bits of, imagination, that little bit of, not being, one-dimensional and, everything's pragmatic. No, we're playing, little ones, little things that people aren't expecting. Oh, right, hang on. Bloody hell, he's not done that before. And then, as a defender, you're like, wow, so we can do that as well now. And then you're second guessing about where you need to be. And then you drop it. And it's a nightmare. It's a nightmare for a defender.
Yeah.
God, you're giving me palpitations now, Phil.
Yeah.
I've got to palpitate now, mate. Jeez, you're thinking about it.
Yeah. And as a centre forward, when you've got the defenders in that position, you're like, right, this is it now. This is party time. I can, my full repertoire's coming out tonight because I've got him, and he doesn't know whether he's coming or going. Because
I'd be crying.
Short, I can let it go. I can play one around the corner. I can set it and spin. I can beat him in the air. I've got him, down the channels. It's brilliant. There's nothing better. But on the flip side of that, when you're a striker and you've got no confidence, your touch is bouncing off you, the defender's knocking you over, you slip in it, and you're like, you don't want the ball coming near you. You're like, keep it away from me. And I think that's what it's like at the moment when we watch United. Players are getting shrinking violets.
Do you know something, Phil? You're talking about, when you've got a centre forward on his game and you're thinking, fucking, don't let the ball come to him. Honestly, I'm thinking that. And I'm thinking, there's only one way I'm fucking stopping you. Yeah. And that's it. Bang, you're having that. And then, this happened to me fucking years ago. I was being destroyed and I fucking slammed this guy. And the ref comes up to me and he said, yellow card. I said, what do you want me to do? You told me how to defend against him, and the rest looking at me, just laughing and taking his head, saying, and he goes to me, he goes, good luck, son, for the rest of the game. You know, and I'm controlled. I'm like, Jesus Christ. But that's the beauty of it. I'd love to know in a VAR room right now, Tactico's room right now, and all of us around it, who wants to put on their pegs right this minute and go for a fucking kickabout? Because I'm buzzing right now. Absolutely. Yeah. Have I been in the dressing room after this conversation?
Yeah, just thinking about some of that stuff. Obviously, you know, I was lucky enough to play, you know, at a good level, and obviously play with some great players, play in some great games and what have you. But you know, that kind of enthusiasm for the game and that sort of, you know, passion of wanting to go out and express yourself, and just, you know, I had some terrible games, but I'd go out and I'd always try my best. I'd always work hard. I'd always give it everything. And if I didn't go to the top, I'd be disappointed, but I'd be ready to go again the next game, and I'd be chomping at the bit, and I'd be doing extra in training to try and get better and prove, that was just a bad game and I'm ready to go again. I think now you look at some of these performances from some of our players in the current squad and the current team, and it seems to me like they're just compiling bad performance after bad performance, and there's no reaction. There's no, after a bad performance or 2 or 3 bad performances, in that team when I was there, you'd be out the team, no questions asked about that.
Yeah, you would.
But then that's about your character, then, right? How do I bounce back from that? I've got to, do a bit extra in training. I've got to make sure that I'm, maybe doing a bit extra in the gym. I'm not quite at it. What can I do? I need to get sharper. I need to do that. So these players, obviously they're getting picked on, reputations and all that. We've said this over the years. They're just getting picked because
you can't do that.
Phil. I don't know if you realize, but Mark has a brother.
Yes.
He's playing. Is he a pro now, or is he just an academy player?
He's on. How do you call it again? He's on a trial in Denmark for the same club as the guy we're trying to buy, Sven Naipan. He just went back last week.
Okay, brilliant. Okay. Good stuff.
So how old is your bro? He's like 19.
He's turning 20 in May. In March.
Yeah. In March. So Phil, you've been in the game for a long time. So do you have any advice for Mark's brother? Now he's semi-professional. He's working hard. He tries to make it at the big stage.
Well, no, it's a great age, 20. I mean, I'm thinking about when I was 20. Like, you're sort of full of enthusiasm. I'm sure he's doing all he can to be as fit and be as sharp and all that kind of stuff that he can be. For me, all I would say is, looking at the current the way the game is now, you because the game's gone so, you've got to be physically, you've got to be so strong, you've got to be quick, you've got to be an athlete, you've got to have as a minimum, you've got to be able to get about the pitch, you've got to be able to have an engine and be mobile. So as long as he's doing all the extra little bits that he can do in the gym, and I'm a massive believer in, especially when you're that age, 20 is probably where now he's probably looking at trying to get into playing some proper football, into first teams, or even just whether he goes on loan or whatever. Just speak to proper players, like speak to proper pros that you can pick up little nuggets of advice from. Watch proper players. Go and watch as many games as you can. Like I was lucky because obviously when I was at United, we got a season ticket every single year. So I was going to every home game. I was watching all the players who were playing in my position every week, sat at Old Trafford, bang on the halfway line, watching Rude, watching Tevez, watching Solskjaer, watching whoever it was. And I'm just sat looking, thinking, right, that's me. What am I doing? Where's he going? Where's his movement? Oh, brilliant. Right. Oh, so he does that. Okay, brilliant. Right, I'm going to try that next time I'm playing. Right. Oh, he's in that position when the ball's on that side of the pitch. Look at his movement. Bang. He's there. And I used to love going to games. And my dad would speak to me sometimes, and I'd be like, no, hang on a minute. I'm just, because I'm fixated on watching. I wasn't watching the game, really. I was just watching the strikers, or watching that particular.
Watching the movement and decisions.
Off the ball, because off the ball is where you get your little bit of an edge. Because if you're stood still and the ball's coming up to you, and then you're not expecting it, then that's no good to anyone. When the player's building up and you can see it happening, and then you can see Rude pulling off on the shoulder, and then bang, it's gone. That's brilliant, because I'm looking at that and going, yeah, that's what I do. Yeah, and I've got like a little checklist in my head, and I'm going, yeah, I do that. Yeah, maybe not as good as Rude, but I'm like, yeah, I do that. Yeah. Oh, hang on.
So
and
Phil,
then that's all I'd say. Go and watch games, and if you can, obviously you can speak to some players who are a waste of time, but you can speak to proper players who will invest a bit of time in you, because they know that you want to make it as a professional, you want to get better, you want to improve, and that's the biggest bit of advice I would say, because that's where I learned so much. Obviously, I was lucky enough to be in and around some of the best players to ever do it. But that doesn't matter, because at any level, there's great players, there's great lads who want to help younger players. So, yeah, that's all I would say. As long as he's got a good attitude, wants to work hard and improve, that's it. I'm sure he'll.
Well, I mean, he's from the Caribbean, so you have to work hard. I mean, it's just life.
Yeah. It's in your name.
And for me, like, I always try to tell him he need to take advice from every bit of advice is work. He always have to work harder than everyone. So if someone training hard, you need to train harder than them. Not saying longer, but you need to make the training count. But what he does is he has a lot of advice coming in from his ex-coach from the PSG Academy, who used to play for PSG on the wing. I can't remember his name, but a French guy, really good, and he works for Clermont now. So I think it's Clermont they call it in France. Anyway, but so I told him to listen to the guy information, and the most I could do is I just tell him look at the guys like Ronaldo and other wingers of the past who give you that more traditional approach that and then you could marry what you're learning now, which is the modern style to that. So that's the only advice I was actually giving him on work hard.
He needs to become a student of the game.
Student of the game, exactly, Stu.
Yeah, he needs to become a student of the game, Mark. What kids don't do today, and they should do. They don't. I'm not talking about watching videos. I'm talking about they don't use the analytics anymore. If you are able to study 4 or 5 players in your area, your chosen area, whatever your chosen area is, that's how you really hone your craft. And look at 4 or 5 different styles. See, Phil was really lucky at Old Trafford. He had Rude, the size of Rude, but then he had a fox in the box in Solskjaer. And then around him, Dwight York, Andy Cole, Teddy Sheringham. You've got 4 or 5 different players that he could look at, Phil, and say, well, there's a load of different styles there. What are those? What is the differential? So if your lad's a central midfielder, for example, get them to look at 5 different types of central midfield players, whoever they may be, and try and identify each of their attributes. Because once you identify an attribute, Mark, you then start to understand the basics of what it means to be that player. And that's all I ever did as a centre half. I started looking at centre halves. Steve Bruce was my idol at centre half. People thought he was an absolute donkey because he was languid, wasn't he? He almost looked bent over when he was running. He was really strange, but his positional play, his heading ability, his bravery, his ability to read the game, those are the 4 key attributes of a centre half. And I started looking at that. Started looking at how to really learn and understand that aspect of the game. Same with Paul Ince was my midfield idol. So I looked at how he played and how he would get across the ground with his stride. It was his stride that pushed him across the ground, not his ball skills, not his ball technique, but his stride. So I understood those elements of the game, Mark. So if I could give you, brother, any advice, that's what I would do. I would, if I'm a central midfielder, look at 5 different types and hone your craft. That would be my advice. Come on, Jarvis, in you come.
Thank you. Not a good advice, but I never been a professional player. I can't give him any advice.
But you were a player, and actually, and Mark will tell you this, and so will Phil. You don't have to be a professional to give advice when it comes to football. No, you really don't. No. You know what you like, Jarvis. You understand the game.
I know, but for me, I think I was when I was younger, I didn't study the game good enough, and I didn't quite understand the game of football until I became an older man, like 30. Then I suddenly everything clicked, and I really understood how to play the game. where to find the pockets, where to move, and especially when you're a younger guy, you run a lot because you want to be involved in the game, and you think the answer is to run a lot, move everywhere. But the older you get, the more you understand it's more about being casual, just roam around, being in the right space, not trying to attract too much attention, and know that you leave the space open until you see the right time and then move into it. And that's why I saw some comments from Dave, for example. I think he said there was so much criticism of Højlund, but in this channel we're not criticizing anything. It's not about hate. It's about talking about football and where we can improve. And this is all about improvement of the game. And for example, yesterday we saw a player like Welbeck and his movement. Every time he moved on the ball, look at this clip. Doesn't tell much, but here is this is Welbeck. It's not sprinting, it's just pointing casually, just walking and being involved in the play. And this made it really difficult for the United players yesterday, because the three center backs didn't really know when to move up and mark him. You see here, it just moves a little bit up and down. It's just casually moving. And you see Maguire, for example. Let me go back here. You see Maguire, he's not really sure. Should I go and mark? Okay, I fall back. Because the movement of Welbeck, it just moves up a little bit, down a little bit, just like a wave. And this is a movement that I think a lot of young strikers needs to learn. And I think Welbeck was brilliant yesterday. If you go see the goal again, you see here Welbeck, he's available, and then you see the Ligt launching to Welbeck, leaving this space, and Mitoma went through and scored a goal. You see here from the other angle, you see it better. I'm just gonna take down the speed a little bit. Again, here you see Welbeck just standing there, not attracting really much attention, but he knows that he's free, and you see the Ligt here is launching towards him and leave this space. It's all about clever movement from Welbeck.
Just stop it there. Go back. Just watch Mazzari. There. Just watch Mazzari for the first time this year asleep, completely asleep. Even before that, if you go back again, just slightly. Look at Mitoma. Now Mazzari is completely. He knows where he is. If you just push it back, you'll see a little look here. There. He knows exactly where he is. So this is where you get touch tight. This is where you move across. You get touch tight. That allows you then to bring De Ligt over as well. De Ligt really doesn't need to look at Welbeck there. As long as he can see him, it's great. But watch what happens as soon as the ball goes into Mitoma. So if you
before you move it, Jarvis, right? I just wanted to highlight that Maguire. I think the biggest problem in this play here was Maguire taking that step back that he made. He should have stepped forward like De Ligt instead of taking that step back. That step back played Mitoma onside. If he had taken a step forward, Mitoma is offside in this moment.
Yeah, and there's your problem, because you're absolutely right. Maguire was never going to get back mark there at all. I've got to be honest with you. Onana's positioning was woeful. He should have been out a lot quicker. He shouldn't have been in the 6-yard box. He should have been out a lot quicker to close him down. But even so, your highlighted point about Welbeck is absolutely brilliant. But Mazzari,
yeah. But this was just some clips. Yeah. But I saw it all the time. He made it really by his movement, just like walking.
No, you're right.
Jogging,
you're right.
Little bit up, little bit down. He actually occupied all the three centre backs by himself. By that moment.
That's right.
And he didn't do it like we weren't really intense, like you see, for example, with Højlund. I'm not trying to dig out Højlund, but you see him really intense all the time. He tries to wrestle, he sprints, drops down, up again. So it's very erratic in the way he moves.
Just before you go and you pick up your wife, tell your brother no gloves and no leggings.
Okay. Those are no-nos. You don't use them actually.
No, good. They're no-nos in professional football. No nose. Don't let him do that ever. No snoods either.
No,
It's
I
cold.
told him he need to keep himself warm by running. That's
Too
what I told
right.
him. Because
Too
he's from the
right.
Caribbean and he all the way in Denmark. So it's just one of
Right.
those things for me. So, but thanks for having me, guys. Sorry that I have to leave
Yeah.
earlier than expected.
Mark,
But
Thank you.
big up
see you,
Thank
to
you
you
buddy.
for
Love
guys,
coming
you,
on,
mate.
Mark.
and thank you. Big
Ta-ra.
pleasure to meet you, Phil, again. Big up
Yeah.
to Jarvis. Big up to everyone in the chat.
See you
You know,
guys. Ta-ra.
Problem.
cheers,
Tell you some
guys.
good luck, mate, as well. All the best for his trials and stuff.
Thank you, man. Thank you. I'll tell him about it. I'm pretty sure he'll watch the stream when I tell him about it, and he'll understand because he's a huge Man United fan as well.
Oh,
He
good.
plays left wing and he plays attacking midfield, but I think he's a better winger, is my opinion. But yeah.
Yeah. I'm sure he'll find his way, mate. And as I say, just tell him to keep watching and keep working hard. I'm sure he'll be fine.
All right, guys. Thank you very much. Have a
See
good
you,
night.
Mark.
Thanks a lot,
See you.
Jarvis.
Right.
Bye,
Catch
Mark.
you later, Stu.
Bye.
I just want to say hi to Royden. Thank you, Royden, for tuning in. And
Yes.
you had a lot of good comments today, Royden. You sent me a Telegram message today on a lot of good things on Hoyland. So we can talk about it a little bit later, but we didn't have time to bring them all up. So, but thank you for all the comments, Royden.
Yeah.
But Phil, I want to go back to this Welbeck movement.
Yeah. I wanted to talk about that myself. Yeah.
Yeah, because for me, I think it's so important, and I think this is things when we talk about what to learn younger players. It's not about sprinting all the time and seeing the space and acting on the space. You have to just be aware of the space and know the timing of it all. And all of your movement attracts the opposition. As a striker, you attract the center backs, but you don't want to stand directly on them and be connected. You want to leave a little bit of space. You want to leave them worrying about where you're going next all the time. So, did you train on this when you were a player at Man United?
I don't think necessarily you train on that kind of thing. I think what happens is, and Welbeck's in this particular moment in his career now where he's getting on a little bit. He's not as quick as he probably was.
No, but he's starting to.
He's still very, very sharp in the mind. He's still really clever. He still knows how to put himself in positions where he can affect the game. He can make defenders not know whether they're coming or going. He can, as you say, he was keeping maybe 2 or 3 people occupied or thinking they might be able to get near him. But as I say, he wasn't doing anything extravagant. He wasn't sprinting into space. He wasn't, pulling off on angles, and he was just floating around, getting the ball, popping it off one touch, and then pulling off into a bit of space. And as you say, that's nothing. That's clever football. That's for us when you're looking at Hoyland, the comparisons there. Hoyland's sprinting round, falling over, doing like little mad bursts and running round like a headless chicken. And Welbeck sort of floating around with his cigar out, just popping it off, getting on it. Doesn't look like anything's going on, but he's causing United defenders, massive problems because he's giving them, doesn't know whether he's coming in short or whether they need to go and press him or they're passing him onto the midfield. And what that did was then, because the defence then started to come up a little bit higher, as you see, and then when Matoma makes them runs in behind, he's got the pace. When the pitch is a little bit higher up, he can, take advantage of them spaces in behind, which was where that came from. But you see Welbeck, where was he? When the ball went in behind, he wasn't still floating around in the midfield, was he? He was bang. He was straight in the centre box where he needed to be for a tap in, because that's as I say, watch him here. He's floating around. He's not really involved in the game. He's been dropping into that midfield, semicircle all game. But then as soon as that ball goes in behind, bang, he's on his toes. He knows where the ball's coming, and then and that's the difference. You see, Hoyland there. If that ball would have gone in behind, Hoyland would have been still on the halfway line.
Well, it was Mite who scored the goal, not Welbeck. Yeah. But this is an interesting. Yeah. But your point stands, and I fully agree. But I just want to talk a little bit about the game, because this bothered me yesterday, because you see here a lot of people talked about Maguire and Maguire's position. He's standing here, but look at this. You have Dalot standing here with Mite, the guy who scored a goal, and in this situation. Lenny Yoro has pushed up here because he wants to connect with the I don't know who it is. I think it's Baleba or but in this situation, if you look at Dalot now when the ball comes, he points at Lenny Yoro, an 18-year-old player who's hardly played a couple of games for Man United. He's pointing at him and gives all the responsibility to Yoro for Baleba, and Dalot in this situation focuses mainly on the winger who's coming up here. And for me, I think it's a mistake from Dalot. Maybe it's right from a tactical point of view, but not from a player perspective. I think you shouldn't leave that responsibility to an 18-year-old unexperienced
straight
kid.
away, you've got just on that straight away, regardless of whether that's a tactical thing and that's his man, which it is probably in the game before. But you've got to smell danger. If that ball is in here as a fullback or as a player that's in here and you've got a player that's here, I don't care about him on the wing out wide because he's not a danger. He's not going to score from on the touchline. This lad in here, if this ball goes in behind, he's
the danger man. Yes.
I've got to smell the danger. And Dalot is sort of a culprit of this, quite regular, where he doesn't quite know and he doesn't quite have the nous of smelling danger and who's the most important player. Yeah, that might be my man out there on the touchline, but at this moment in time, he's not the biggest danger. This guy here, this midfielder is the threat. And I need to make sure I'm in a position that when that ball gets played in behind, I can get back into a position where he's not having a tap in and it doesn't happen.
Yeah.
But you see here, Dalot, he's actually pointing at Mite, and Lenny Yoro is watching. He's turning his head and watching because Dalot is shouting, "This is your man."
Well,
and Dalot, in this instance, Dalot leaves the responsibility to Lenny Yoro and focuses on this guy.
Well,
in
let
the
me tell you
danger
something.
situation.
There's quite a few issues with that straight away. First and foremost, Yoro doesn't need to be there. It just doesn't. You've got Mainu free, and you've got, I presume that's Garnacho or Bruno. I didn't quite see the game, so I don't know who that is. It's free as well. You've also got Maguire able to take Midu if he needs to. Your biggest problem out of everything is Mazzari. He's just not looking. He just doesn't know where Matomo is. So you can mark all of those as much as you like. The player of danger, stop it there. Stop it there. Way too late. You're never going to get those 3 yards back from Matomo. If that was Phil's like thinking, he is. I promise you, Phil's rubbing his hands together, aren't you, Phil?
Yeah. You've got him because look, as you said, he was ball watching. He was just simply ball watching. And as soon as Matoma's seeing the centre half get that touch out of his feet, now that's where you go back to the little patterns. Obviously, when that player's got a little bit of time on the ball and there's all that space in behind, for a winger, that's your signal, that's your cue, right? I'm going here, I'm on my bike. As soon as he gets to touch out his feet, I'm locking on the eye contact and I'm making that run. And whether it comes or not, I'm making that run and giving him an option of playing it in behind. Obviously, this time he's played a great ball in behind. If you play it, and he's played, it's a great ball. But as you say, Mazraoui's been ball watching, and then it's about how can you react. Dalot didn't smell the danger, and now he's leaving Yoro to run back 50 yards past him,
which he's never going to do.
Which is never going to happen because it was in football. That's like a split set. You can't pass a man on when a ball's getting played out someone's feet.
That's the problem. And that's my point exactly. I just want you guys to focus on this situation once more. Focus fully on this situation because you see here Dalot points and he leaves the responsibility. And you see it's Yoro who's got the responsibility.
But there is another issue. There is another issue here as well, Jarvis. So if you stop it there. Now, Maguire is caught in no man's land. So Maguire's looking at Matoma. He's not looking at Minte at all. Now, there's absolutely zero chance, right, that Mazzari is going to get back. So that's Maguire's problem. And I feel really sorry for Maguire. Because if he looked at Minte, all he got to do is angle his run slightly towards Minte with a block.
You think Maguire should have gone here?
No, should have gone the other way. He should have gone to Minte. But he had no chance, Maguire. He was caught between the devil and the deep blue sea. He really was, because if Maguire comes into Matoma's going to hit Minte anyway, straight away, isn't he, Phil? That's what you would do if the ball comes. So he's going to hit Minte everywhere. Stop it there. Fucking Onana should have been here by the penalty spot. Take the chip, make him do something. He wasn't. And the ball comes in, so nicely weighted. Minte sticks it away. It was bad from Mazzarri all the way. Really, it was terrible. It was terrible from Mazzarri all the way. Mazzarri, if you go back to the very beginning when Mazzarri was looking away, right? He's too far away from him for a start, and he can actually almost turn his body so he can look at Matoma. Because
he looks at him in this picture. He looks at him. His eyes
looks at him, but then he leaves him. He forgets it. I mean, honestly, I tell you what. I know, Phil, because I've seen you play in terms of videos. You'd have had him on toast, mate. You'd have been laughing your fucking head off, because you're looking. Matomo is looking right across the fucking line.
Yeah.
Not one of our players, apart from De Ligt, is looking at Matoma. Not one of them.
No.
But from a principle of football, when I played, I learned that when there's not applied pressure on the ball carrier on the opposite team, you need to drop. So here you see there's no pressure on the ball carrier, the guy who has the ball, and we still apply the high line. I know this is the modern football, and you see this from Aston Villa, you see this from Spurs, you see this from Man United. But I believe this is the reason why, as a centre back here, you should smell the danger and take some depth.
But Maino has to take a lot of the blame here. He's in absolutely fucking no man's land. He's absolutely in no man's land.
Maino here.
Yeah, he's in no man's land. You know, when you actually look at the actual position of everybody there, our back four are okay, apart from Mazzarri's ball watching. We're okay. We're in a nice tight line, but we know. I mean, Jesus, Phil, this is when I go back to knowing your opponent, isn't it? You know he's fucking speedy. You know he's quicker than you as a player, Mazzarri. You know he's quicker than you, so you get tighter to him. If you are allowing, which we are, by the way, because Xerxes is pointed.
I was just going to say, what if you just rewind that a little bit? What was Xerxes actually doing? Because for me, I'm looking there and I'm thinking, all right, it's a great ball, but could he have put him a bit more under pressure there? Maybe got a little block or made him play out wide a little bit more to the fullback, because he's not done enough there to stop that pass going in behind. I don't understand what he's doing.
Phil, first of all, I would say when it comes to Xerxes, when you apply pressure like this, you are outnumbered. So I think Xerxes' main role here is to block the passing lane, block the passing lane here. So he needs to be aware of the mind behind him, and I don't think he's aware of what's going on behind him.
Yeah, but that's because Maino's
out of here. Ugarte, he's left with two players, and we need to.
But that's because Maino's out of position, Jarvis. This is why Maino's in no man's land. That's your problem. Your problem is Kobe Maino. It's horrible.
Maino is here ready to jump on this guy. That's his, because João Pedro and the other midfielder went wide, so they created this space in the middle, and you see here Welbeck drops down. Welbeck drops down into the central area, and they have the other central because they play with the midfield three.
No, I get that, but then you've got Bruno in João Pedro's vicinity. What's Bruno doing? We don't. Yeah, but Phil's right. You don't need to pay any attention to the fullback at that point. You need to stop the passage of play. Phil's absolutely right. You don't need to. So you've got people. You've got Bruno ball watching, Mainu ball watching, Ugarte kind of ball watching, and Mazzarri ball watching. These are your three problems.
But in this situation, I think they all their eyes are on Welbeck, because there's an opening here, the space here. So I think they all are anticipating the ball to go here into Welbeck's space.
Yeah, which is why I was thinking, why is Xerxes not doing more to force the pass to go out wide? This centre half had time to take a touch, take a little look up and clip a ball because if Xerxes 2-3 yards more to where the defender's line of passes, he probably doesn't pass. So
Correct.
that's it, lazy as a centre forward to just allow a centre half to play a 50-60 yard ball over the top without any pressure.
And unfortunately, we had another player in no man's land, and that was Ahmad. Ahmad was in no man's land as well.
Yeah.
This is the problem that we've got.
It shouldn't. Yeah, exactly. When do we ever score a goal like that?
Never.
When do we ever score? Because defensive units don't allow that type of goal to be conceded very often because it shouldn't be allowed to be done because it's so easy. That was so easy. A ball played into the centre half. He took a touch out his feet. He's played a 60-yard ball over the top of a fullback that's asleep because no pressure was applied to him. And they've ran in and scored it. It's like a goal you see on FIFA. Run through, square.
It is. It is. And
very often.
And as much as Dalot was being lazy, you've got 3 players completely in no man's land, completely falling asleep. And you could argue, I don't know what you think, Phil, but you could argue that Yoro didn't need to be where he was. He didn't need to touch Pedro. Bruno
I think when you look at that as a whole, that was sort of there was 6 or 7 things that you could highlight. Players out of position, not switching off, not looking at the ball. Anana should have been a lot higher. I mean, Anana because
he was on the 6-yard line. He was in the 6-yard box.
When he got squared, he was still stood in his 6-yard box.
I know.
On the edge of his box before it even got played. So that when you see someone like Edison or someone had been flying out, he'd have been heading that out of play for a throw. Do you know what I mean? Because he's expecting that ball over the top. This fella at the back, I mean, I don't know what you've got to be part of the game. Like as a goalkeeper, you've got to be thinking, right, if this goes over the top here, obviously, unless it's a pinpoint, I'm coming out here helping me defenders.
He's a bit alert,
the line, he's just doing nothing.
It is crazy because when you get in on that, you're counting 1, 2, 3, bang. That's when you take, aren't you? Set yourself, stride, set, strike. That that's what you do, and he didn't do it. Okay, I hadn't really seen the game yesterday, Jarvis. That's the first time I've seen it.
But it was too. I can just break it down for you how I saw it, because when most teams attack, they go with the back 3 and they have like 3 to 4 players in midfield and the rest up front. But João Pedro and Ayari, they went wide and they dragged the Ahmad and Bruno, so they couldn't like contribute centrally and help out because they created overloads by dropping Welbeck into the midfield, or they moved Van Hecke, the centre back, up with Baleba in a double. So Mainu and Ugarte were basically occupied all the time, and every time Welbeck dropped down, they had an extra man. So one of the centre backs needed to follow him to press, and when that happened, they left the space in behind, and João Pedro, Ayari, Mitoma and Mite, everybody was looking for that pocket all the time. So we were constantly under attack by people sprinting in behind every time the centre backs moved out of position and dropped down to help out with the midfield overload from Brighton. So this
that was my point, Jarvis. You don't have to follow to press. There was no need for Yoro to do that. Zero. You're better off letting Welbeck take the ball if you put that back up in and around Ugarte than following him. If you hold your nerve and you hold your line, then it's. I'm not saying you become impenetrable, but it makes it extremely difficult for them to break in and find that space. We don't need to. You don't need to follow a striker in and around. If that was the case, Phil's
but Welbeck did it so perfectly. As I said, he just like moved a little bit, like
that's what I mean.
Up and down. Sometimes he jogged a little bit here. So he was
all over the place,
in between all the time. And I think we did it on purpose. When he saw Ugarte, he was right in the middle of Maguire and Ugarte all the time, I would say. So who was supposed to take him out? You
don't pick him up until he gets into that kind of area where he is now. If that's what you've got, a floating 9, don't pick him up till you're forced to pick him up. If you go looking for him and you're clever, Phil will tell you this. If you're going looking for him and you're clever, he's going to be looking over his shoulder. Oh, fucking Yoris finding me, and he's doing little hand signals, getting behind me.
Yeah.
It's all the clever forward. Just don't fall into that trap. I can't believe we fell into that
I
trap.
think that's what's happened. I think what's happened to Welbeck because of his experience. Obviously,
Yeah.
He wasn't necessarily, exerting himself by dropping in, just doing little one-touch passes, getting on the ball, playing it out. He was just tempting, teasing them defenders. Is someone going to come with me? Because I'm getting a lot of the ball. No one's really getting near me. And then all of a sudden, oh, hang on, someone's bit. Someone's come out. And then that's when
right.
Pedro's seeing it, Mitoma's seeing it. And then that is like, it's good play from Brighton. You've got to look at Brighton yesterday. You've got to say, listen, they played United like a fiddle yesterday because the leadership of United, there was nobody there saying, no, you're staying in here and you're not following him in until he gets anywhere around the edge of the box where he can turn and shoot.
Right.
He's not going to hurt us on the halfway line. But you've got to have somebody that's going to. I think obviously Yoro's a young lad. He's probably getting told by people he's getting on the ball too much here. Go and put a tackle in or whatever.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
Then, that's what come a little bit undone because then people are saying, "Is he mine? Is he yours? Am I coming? Am I going? Am I go?" You don't know whether you're coming or going, and then that brings up a little bit of unrest, and then people are ball watching. They don't know who's man's who. There's changeovers. There's crossovers.
That's exactly right.
And then. At the moment of bang, where everyone needed to have that little bit of, we've been caught undone because people are ball watching, people are not sure whose man it is, people are not quite.
It's true. It's amazing, Phil. Yeah, it's amazing, Jarvis. When you show it and you look at it, and you're explaining what you want to explain, and you're writing what you're saying, but then I'm looking at it and thinking, fuck me. Why isn't he not, because that's what I would do. And I'm thinking, and I know Phil, honestly, I know it Phil's Matoma, honestly, he's fucking thinking, hold on, is it Christmas? Is it my birthday? What's going on here? Because Mazzara is just...
Yeah. Well, that's what
if you got that ball right, if you got that ball right, Phil, you're gone, aren't you? You're fucking off. And you're not catching him.
No.
Yeah.
You can't. Because it's that ball, it's so quick, so fast, it's direct, it's in behind. You've got a player who's absolutely rapid. As soon as you take that split second, you've took your eye, and you could see it on Mazraoui's face. He knew he'd been done.
And the other thing about it, Jarvis, when Mazzari turns to sprint, he still can't see Matoma because Matoma's still behind him. I mean, that's fucking criminal. He should have turned around and grabbed his shirt, taken the yellow card or whatever, and then. Phil's bearing in on goal, and Nana's still on the 6-yard line. Phil thinking, whoa, what am I going to do? Am I going for hard post? Am I going to scoop him? What am I going to do? Unbelievable. Yeah. Unbelievable.
I just want to show you this. It's the same clip as I showed with when Welbeck roaming. See here. But they just play the ball around, and look here. Lenny Yoro drops, and you see the run coming in from I think it's Ayari here. All the time they were constantly pushing up and down, and the movement were like a wave. And here you see Maguire drops out, and here comes the run. He stops because Maguire feels that pocket again.
He was alive twice.
We were constantly under attack by dragging out defenders and running into the pocket.
Oh, can you go back and stop? Go back and a bit. Just behind and stop it. Just a little bit. Keep going forward again. Keep going forward. See Maguire, you're right. He's on the ball there. Watch, keep it going and watch out.
But you see the run comes here.
And he's there again in Maguire,
yeah.
Just keep playing it. That is an abysmal passage of play. Absolutely, from our point of view. I don't know who is that. Bruno.
That's Bruno.
Watch him again. Watch him trying to tackle, miss the tackle, and go past the centre half. It was like schoolboy comedy era.
Here.
Yeah, watch this. Watch him. Watch him. Watch him. Watch him.
Yeah. He tries
Okay,
to.
like fucking. It's worse than under 8, isn't it? That Phil.
Shocking, mate. Absolutely shocking.
It's just great. I can't believe I had to look twice to see it. Fucking hell.
I think he's just gambled there that he's going to play it back, but
he has, but he was never doing it that way by his trajectory, was he, Phil?
Yeah, it was just.
Yeah.
But the thing is, I just want to point out this is the most important bit. Welbeck moving, and the opposite movement always coming in.
Yeah.
And you see this over and over again. That's the game plan. And Hürsler, the guy, the young German guy from Brighton, he did an excellent job setting up this team. And again, you see another run coming, always bombing us with sprints because they see Maguire is on his way out again.
Yeah, just another quick one. If you go back again, Jarvis, sorry to keep pushing you back, mate. But you know me, I notice things when I'm watching again. Just watch Ahmad there. Look for his man. His man's fucking.
Ahmad is here.
Yeah, just watch him. Go back. Watch that passage. Watch this now. Watch his passage of play and watch Ahmad. Just watch it. Jog. There it is. Where is he? He's just fucking. He's this is. You can't compensate for that, can you, Phil? It's fucking embarrassing. It's embarrassing. All right, we may win the ball back and we may, but the point I'm making is you got people ball watching from what I could see, 90% of the game. You got Mainu, Ahmad. Ahmad was ball watching, believe it or not, for their goal, for the Matoma.
They were, yeah.
And all this was happening. The point that you're making about a Welbeck is absolutely right. And I don't mean to pick anything else apart, but I'm watching it and I'm noticing straight away what we're doing. I just can't get my fucking head around it.
I think as well, a big part of that is when you've got a team that does something that maybe isn't quite what you planned for. Say like you've done all your own work on Brighton. Obviously, you don't know who's playing, but like you know if certain players are playing this, they potentially might play it. When you've got someone like Welbeck who's doing that, and it's causing a little bit of uncertainty within who's picking him up. Can't keep letting him get on the ball. Is he my man? Is he yours? That's where you need a leader or somebody on the pitch to just go, right, hang on, this is what's happening. Because I've seen over the years, obviously when I was there, and I've seen players do stuff what, Welbeck was doing there, and Roy Keane or someone or whoever would just, right, listen, back four, you're not coming out of your zone, I'll deal with him, or we'll make sure he's not getting on the ball as much as he has been for the next 10 minutes because we've seen now he's getting on it. That's what's happening. And bang, proactive, deal with it on the pitch. Where we are at the moment, you've got players who we've got no leadership, we've got no sort of real understanding of what a position and what a role is within that position if a player does X, Y, and Z. Welbeck's been clever. He's utilised that and thought, right, no one's going to keep picking me up. I'm just going to keep doing it because, we're going to get in eventually because these don't know who's picking me up. They don't know whether I'm coming or going. And that's where you need strong leaders on the pitch to say, right, if this is how they're going to play for the next 10, 15 minutes, he's your man. Just sit in. Don't let him have the ball. Back four, we stay. Back three, whatever it is, we stay in this unit. We're not, players dipping in and out, leaving gaps, leaving holes for them to come in and spin. That's how we do it. But because we didn't really have anybody who took the ball by the horns and said, this is the way we're going to deal with it, everything was just a little bit messy because then that has a knock-on effect because Welbeck's dropping in. Is it Ugarte? Is it Mainu? Is it Yoro? Is it whoever? Dallow's not the winger or coming in. And then it causes all this confusion, all this unrest. People are, don't know which man they're meant to be marking. Then they're 5 yards away from where they should be. And that then led. Xerxes was 5 yards off where he should have been to stop the pass initially. Mazraoui switched off and not looking.
Oh, it's unbelievable. I mean,
and then, you blink and it's 1-0. Oh, it's gone, and then
Jarvis is Phil. Jarvis is great at picking out good stuff, and he'll pick out a passage of play, and then we get going, don't we, on it for about 20 minutes, pal? Because I'll notice something, and Jarvis is going, I'm not talking about that. And I'll go, I know, but I notice things like you, Phil, all the time.
Yeah.
But not taken away from what Jarvis's point. Jarvis's overall point was the industry of Welbeck and the well coaching technique of the Brighton gaffer. And I totally agree. So he does, but we tend to go off on a tangent, me and Jarvis, Phil. Sorry. I tend to look at the defensive side a lot.
No, as I say, you've got to give Brighton a bit of credit there, because Welbeck's, an older player. He's played at a great level. He's been at United. He knows all the movements. But he knows now that his game is adapted, and he's in a different stage of his career. So he has an impact on a game in a different way. He's not going to be running in behind every week. He's not going to be, running the channels and sort of, beating people for pace, because now his game is, I've got a good touch, I've got a good awareness of where I am on the pitch. I can link the play. When I turn, I can play it and get in the box still. But I'm going to make people unsure about who's picking me up. I'm going to cause problems for the back four. I'm going to cause problems for the midfielders to utilise the players that we've got in the wider positions to then make them diagonal runs in behind, because I'm creating space by dropping in. So that's great play from them. But we've got to be a lot smarter, a lot more understanding of what our roles are, a lot more leadership on the pitch to say, no, we're not going to bite and go, chase in midfield and leave big gaps in behind, because that's exactly what they wanted. And we played.
And we played into the hands, didn't we? But, from what I can see, Rio, can you imagine if, I tell you what, Stevie Bruce and Pallister, they would have gone absolutely fucking nuts.
Raging.
Yeah, they would have picked Welbeck up and like, sorry mate, you're gonna have to go in here for 10 minutes. Or Ince would have done the same. Sorry, just park yourself there, Danny boy, because you're causing a bit too many problems at the moment. We don't stifle the play, do we, Phil?
No.
We don't go in and make stupid tackles, which you've got to do sometimes, just to stop their momentum.
Yeah. You've got to look. If someone's getting joy left, right, and centre, you've got to do something to sort of change the sort of momentum in the game. You can't just keep allowing a team to keep rolling, because eventually, you know what it's like. Sooner or later, something's going to happen, and they're going to end up getting a goal or something. You've got to take the sting out of the game. You've got to go, right, hang on, he's taking the piss now, this lad. We need to do something different here, because you can't keep allowing someone with this quality to keep getting on the ball and not doing anything, because sooner or later we're going to get punished. And we just don't seem to sniff out danger. Don't seem to have the players that can, in the right way. I don't mean going like, smash him and get sent off.
No, I know what you mean. Yeah, I know what you mean.
Go and give him a bit of a hang on. All right, I might have to, do something different, because I don't want to be getting, So, and as I say, we just haven't got that leadership and sort of understanding, I don't think, of where players need to be in a game and what the roles. This is what I'm saying. Fully understanding a role that you're playing. You're not going to turn up every week and the game's going to play out exactly how you planned it. You've got to be able to adapt in a game of football. Be not reactive. You've got to be proactive. You've got to see something happening, right, hang on, bang.
And that's on the players. It's not on the manager. It's not on the gaffer.
Nothing to do with the manager.
Yeah.
You've got to nip in the bud as a player and go, right, that's happened 3 times now, mate. You need to get a grip of that. Let's get a grip.
The dark arts have gone, aren't they, Phil? I mean, how many times? I mean, crikey. Back in when I was playing, when I was young, God used to loosen my loop on my shoes, Phil, on my boots, so that if a player in particular was causing me problems, and we were on the attack, I'd pretend to fall over my loop on my laces and into him and put him on the ground. A little dark arts like that, you don't do that anymore, do they? And when the ref says what's happened, sorry, me boot lace come undone.
Everything's too nice now. There's no, as you say, I was never a fan of doing, silly things off the ball. But you need to give someone a little bit of every now and again, a little nudge, a little remind you're in a game here, and that everything's
and the old yapper.
And
get them out of focus.
everything's just too nice, and it doesn't seem to me as though people want to go above and beyond to get the better of a player in an individual battle, or ruffle a few feathers in the right way, and just try to take someone off the game. It's as though, oh well, no, he's doing well, just leave him. He's having a good game today. Well, no, because he's causing us problems. Let's do something about it.
We have some breaking news here coming in from Romano. He say MUFC officials are expected in Italy in a few hours for further talks with Lecce over a deal for Patrick Drogu. It's from Matt Moreto. So yeah, that's credible source. It looks like we are getting a new left wing back from Italia, a young Danish guy. So how do you see that? Do you think it's a wise move? I heard it was about. I think they were asking price was 34 million pounds about. But we will try to negotiate it down to 25 or.
I'll be brief on this. I don't want to see anybody turn and become Patrick Drogu experts, because nobody is. I'd never heard of the kid till this morning. Never heard of him. And then all I'm seeing is he's a Dennis Irwin-esque type of player. I think it's a bad move for us. However good a player he is, I think it's a bad move for us. He's got to adapt. He's got to come to the UK and he's got to adapt to the Premier League. Irrespective of how good he is as a footballer, he's got to adapt. We need proven Premiership quality right now. I've said it for the past few weeks, and I'll continue to say it. As good as this kid is, and he may well be a world beater, but we need somebody that can get in, put on that shirt, go out to Fulham on Sunday night and perform. Be it Kirkeres, be it Aït-Nouri, be it Robinson going back to his old club. We need somebody who can perform, not somebody who's going to come in and learn the club. So we don't use him in January. We don't use him until maybe February, mid-February, because he's got to acclimatise. I don't know what we're doing. I don't know what we're doing as a football club. He could be a brilliant, brilliant, brilliant signing. He could be. He really could be. But we need somebody to pull on that shirt and perform at the highest level immediately. Now, he is unproven again. That's what I'm getting at. Now, when Phil was at United, Fergie was going out and buying British or Premier League talent. There was no dicking about. I want Andy Cole. Go and get him. He's the best striker in the Premier League. Go and get him. We got him. I want Dwight York. I want Van Persie. I want Teddy Sheringham. I want Rio Ferdinand off Leeds. Go and get him. 18.5 million. I don't care. I want him. These are the types of players that we should be going for. You know, somebody who knows the league. How do you expect Amarim, and Phil, correct me if I'm wrong here, please, mate, but how do you expect Amarim to pull another player from Europe, a 20-year-old Danish kid? Yeah. Again, wonderful player. I'm sure he is. I really am sure he's a brilliant, brilliant player. But to come in and hit the ground running. We're away on Sunday evening. 7 o'clock kickoff or 8 o'clock kickoff against Fulham, a really good team. If we get him in tonight, tomorrow, we get his work permit in, is he going to start him Sunday? 20 years old? No, it's going to be 2 weeks down the line. So what are we doing? What are we doing? We've got to make a decision. Do we want to give ourselves a fighting chance, or do we want to plan way for the future? Now, I was on here the other day, Jarvis, as you know well now, and I said it could be 8 years before we lift the title again. And somebody said, no, you're wrong. No, but we'll be done in 5. It won't be done in 5 if we don't buy players who understand the Premier League.
By the way, I said 7. You said 8.
You said 7. So, Phil, am I wrong? I mean, seriously, I'd love to know.
No, I agree, mate. I think as good as some of these players that we're being linked with probably potentially are, or could be in the future, at this moment in time, we need a little bit of stability, a little bit of consistency, a little bit of people who know the league and you know what you're going to get for, you know what you're going to get from them, and I think that would just settle the nerves a little bit around the fan base, around the dressing room. Some of the younger players need that, I think, at the moment with what's been going on in terms of like the results are just so fluctuated, it's untrue. Performances are so up and down. From a manager's point of view, I mean, if I'm Amarim, I agree with Stu big time. I'd be looking at bringing in like 2 or 3 stalwart players that have done it in the Premier League and sort of a proven quality players that can improve the team, but also have that sort of settling calmness that hopefully would sort of manifest around the dressing room from signing players that you know what you're going to get from. As I say, these lads that we're on about are gambles. Is he going to come in and hit the ground running? Is he going to come in and be able to perform, at the level that we need right now at this moment in time when we're sort of struggling big time? Does that add even more pressure on a young signing that comes in? For me, it does, big time. Anyone who comes in and plays for Man United is massive pressure. But at the moment, seems to be like tenfold. If you're coming in, you're having the expectation that you're going to be the one that changes our fortunes, that changes the way, we're going to play. Is that maybe a little bit too much for this lad at the moment? I think it probably is. And he could be a great player, but yeah, it's a really difficult situation because, again, who do you bring in who's available that, is gonna come in who and it is, I can't really think of anyone off the top of my head who I could say, yeah, well, he would be available for a decent price that would come in and, hit the ground running and we know what we're going to get. But that's what we need. That is desperately what we need, big time. All these
but we're in a difficult situation. We don't have the money as we used to. We can't just go in and buy a Premier League proven player, and that's our biggest problem. But my problem with this is we seem to sign a lot of players from Italy, from the Eredivisie, from the Dutch league, and from the Portuguese league. But when you look at the Premier League, most of the good players comes from 2 leagues, and that's France and Spain, if they're not from the Premier League. And we don't seem to sign a lot of players from those leagues, and that's a problem for me. We go for the Bundesliga option, the Eredivisie, the Italian league, and quite frankly, there's a lot of good talents in Italy, but the league is not as high at level as that we were used to in the 90s, and for me, France and Spain are much more adapted to the Premier League.
Premier League's a step up, isn't it? I think obviously when you've played in all the even Spain and all that now, I think if you come to the Premier League, because of especially the top half of the Premier League, the intensity that you need and the sort of fitness levels and speed of the game now, it's ridiculous. So a lot of the players, it's like getting acclimatized to the Premier League takes. Well, we've seen it, haven't we, over the years? We've seen it takes 18 months for some of these to get to grips. Just what you need to sort of be able to cope with the Premier League demands. Never mind sort of hitting the potential and the sort of levels that were expected from the players that we've brought in. That's not been hit by nowhere near the amount of players that we've brought in, because I don't think we quite understand the gulf in difference between the league that they're coming from to the Premier League, and that is a massive problem.
I feel like I think you're right, mate. I think, look, I remember back in the 2000s when we brought in Juan Saber Veron, absolute wonderful player, but he just couldn't get to grips with the Premier League. He'd tell you himself, he just couldn't get to grips with it. It was no problem in Italy, or wherever else he played, but the Premier League was just a different animal to him. He couldn't do it. Salah had to go away to come back to be something in the Premier League. Same with De Bruyne, had to go away to come back to be something in the Premier League. It isn't just like playing football anywhere. You come into a league of experienced players. You're going up against somebody like Dunk from Brighton, old school, fucking knock your head off centre half. Virgil van Dijk, who thinks he's the best centre half in, and that type of thing. You're going up against, I don't know, whoever. But well, my point being is, you're up against real hardened defenders who will put a tackle in on you and don't care about it. They don't care about you. You're on the floor, tough. I don't care. I'm just going to move on and play. And a 20-year-old, again, as good as he is, and I take Romano's point. We've got to sign players, etc., etc. I get all of that, but we've got to be more sensible. I just don't think we're being sensible right now. I didn't think we were being sensible so much in the summer. Lenny Yoro is a brilliant example. Yes, he got injured. He must hate the Premier League at the moment because he can't get to grips with it. He really can't. He was superb for Lille. We all know that. We all saw the footage. We all saw him play. He just couldn't get to grips with it. Tyrell Malacia can't get to grips with it. Yes, he's been injured, but he can't get to grips with it. Yeah. How much was he injured, or how much didn't he want to come back? He's a young lad, and and he just couldn't get to grips with it. Hoyland can't get to grips with it. He just can't. Xerxes struggling to get to grips with it. Agate just about getting to grips with it. There's 5 or 6 players that we've named straight away. Anthony never got to grips with the Premier League. Nobody can tell me he's a bad footballer. We know he's a good footballer, but can't get to grips with it. So we should be going for players like Cunha. We should be going for Kerkeres or Robinson or whoever. We should be going for these players. Again, we've got no problem. We're not saying he's a bad player. We're saying, is it the right move?
Yeah.
That's the thing. Because where do we want to be in 5 years' time?
Well, when you look at Ineos' plans, we are signing young players on their first or second contract, and they have no experience. We want to buy bargains and be the club. We want to be Brighton now at this moment, in a way, and buy the hidden gems. And I don't think we are at that stage because we are not a well-drilled organization, and this is not the United way. So we will take a little bit time, and we need to adjust to this. And it's just my speculations, but I think this was one of the main reasons why Dan Ashworth left, because he didn't agree with our transfer policy at the moment, because we are building the club in a different direction than we should as a big club at the moment. But we could be better when the economy gets better and everything of these investments pays off, if they pay off. But we don't know.
The trouble is you don't have time. The problem is, in today's Premier League, Amarim won't have the time, because in 2 or 3 years' time, okay, then the group of fans are calling for Amarim to go. Well, we're in this circle again, and then we're calling for the next manager to go in 3 years' time, because we're not improving.
Do you know who's available this summer? Ancelotti is most likely leaving Real Madrid.
You come in as a player. Look, and Phil will back me up on this. Fergie signed players to improve a brilliant squad. I'm signing a player to improve a brilliant squad. I'm not bringing in a 20-year-old. I'm bringing in players that are going to improve the squad. You have to improve the squad.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we're going to have the same conversation.
I don't think Ferguson. There might have been the odd one or two every now and again, but I don't think Ferguson ever bought a player that you was thinking, oh, that's a bit of a big gamble. That's a gamble.
Exactly.
He might have brought in a few players and you thought, oh, well, he's maybe not going to be starting, but he's a good player and he's a good sort of backup to him or whatever. We seem to sort of sign players, and every time there's not been one or two really over the last few I've done. Every player I think, that's a gamble. Don't know whether he's going to be able to do it. Well, why? Like, even the players we sign, who I think, reputation, good players, but I think, well, if he was that good, why wasn't other teams in for him? Or why is someone like De Ligt, why wasn't he playing at Bayern? Why wasn't he playing at Juve? Obviously, he's a good player, and I'm not saying he's not done well, but you look at these players and you think, for Man United, where we are at the moment, we want to be signing players where you're not looking at that going, oh, that's a gamble. No, we're bringing in a proven player in a position where we know he's going to improve the squad 100%. He's proven in the Premier League. You know what you're going to get from him. He's going to improve our squad depth, or he's going to be a starter straight away. We're not in players where I'm confident, and probably most of the fan base aren't going, oh, that's another gamble. He might be good in the future, but what about now? We need players that improve the squad now, because we can't carry on, going the way we're going. And this manager now is probably looking at it thinking, football's a result-based business. He's won 2 Premier League games in the last 10, is it?
Yeah, but
That's nowhere near good enough for that.
You see, this is a great example. Ahmad's a 3-year project. I mean, he's turned out to be brilliant, but he's a 3-year project.
Yeah.
We can't afford to have 3-year projects. And Romano made a point about signing players from the Premier League and not having youth. That's not our point. Our point is you've got to bolster the squad to turn it into a winning squad. There's no point bringing youth through if we can't put them into a winning squad. All the youth that's come through, most of Manchester United teams have been into winning squads, winning teams. Teams of real leaders, real captains, real bollocks. Our squad at the minute doesn't have that, so it's going to make it mighty difficult for the likes of Collier, the likes of Harry Amas, and all of those to come through. It's going to be very, very difficult. So it's whether or not you want a long-term fix, which is where we're going to be. Or you get a short-term fix, and then you get stability based on that short-term fix. And that's what happens when you buy Premier League players. So
it's a good point, Stu. I just want to bring out before we have to do like 10 minutes Q&A, Stu. I know we are on 2 hours, but
yes,
I just want to share this one. It's about Garnacho. We started talking about Garnacho. Chelsea are trying to sign Garnacho this month. They already know his price is £59 million. So we know that Chelsea are in the picture, and they will try to sign Garnacho. So also this came in from MUFC Academy. Understand that Chelsea are willing to meet the demands of Garnacho and Man United, and Chelsea attempted to bid around the 60 million bracket, as we know. No surprise of Garnacho are the Chelsea game tonight, and the agents of Garnacho is at the Chelsea game tonight, as we said in the beginning of the show. And we have this one from Gianluca Di Marzio. So I don't know, Stu, do you read Italian?
Sorry.
Previsto in conto il conto. No. La trativita. No. I'm not going to try to translate, but this is what they are saying. Tomorrow, Man United will have a meeting with Napoli about Garnacho and meeting with Lecce for Patrick.
Okay. Well, I suppose that makes sense, doesn't it?
Man United are working their way through Italy, and we are trying to get the deals done. So this is all from Romano. Thank you, Romano, for all the updates.
Excellent, as always.
Let's go to the Q&A, guys and girls. You know the drill. And I made a new Q&A video, so pay attention.
Here we go. Very cool. Very cool. Go on, Thomas. I'll let you host. Go on, mate.
No. You
are
the Q&A
welcome
master.
to the Q&A session. I let him off last week. I let him host last week because we had Mr. Hackett on. But back to normal service resume. Get your questions in, guys. Please, if we can. We've got about 10 minutes tonight. That's all we've got. So get your questions in quickly for Phil, and then we can get going. First question is from, I'm going to call him Abidaz's. I hope I haven't butchered your name. Abidaz. Almost like Adidas, my favourite brand, just in case anybody hadn't worked that one out. Phil, how would you assess Rasmus Højlund's ability to read the game and position himself effectively in advanced areas?
Well, I think we've touched on this quite a little bit at the beginning of the show in terms of, I think a lot of it comes down to building up relationships with players, which I don't think we've got at all at the moment. For him, I think obviously it's difficult because a lot of the time he doesn't really know whether balls are coming and going, or whether he's making a movement and the ball's going to go into a particular area. So a lot of the time, I think he's sort of second guessing himself because there's no real structure to the play. I think for me, though, he can do a lot more, and he needs to sort of channel his sort of energy a little bit better and be a little bit more clever with his movement. I think certain times I watch him and I think he's sort of, chasing lost causes or making stupid runs and just, not really, being clever and sort of utilising his sort of skill set, if you like. So he definitely needs to improve. And I think that would be more beneficial if there was somebody who could maybe, learn from. He's been thrown in at the deep end. He's not really had anyone to look up to or sort of watch. So I do feel for him in that respect. But again, we need to get better and improve the quality that's going into him as well. So
yeah, I totally agree. I think you should pop into Carrington, pal. Give him a few tips. Next time you're in there, just say, oh, by the way, let me just have a chat with Rasmus. Oi, get here, Hoyland. Let me show you my highlight reel, pal, and show you how to do it properly. Thanks, Phil. I hope that's answered your question, Abidaz. Got one here for Jarvis, the tactical master himself.
Yeah.
Evening Tactical Devils, loving the show. Thanks, Nathan. That's really very kind of you. Do we think that we are relying on too many youngsters in the squad with no leaders or direction from our older, more expensive, experienced players? It's a very good question. Thanks for your question, Nathan.
Yeah, it's a good question. Thank you for the question, Nathan. But I think we have touched on this, and Phil mentioned it. I think we need more leaders in the squad, and being a leader is not about being the guy who shouts the most, but you can lead by example. You can lead by directing the younger players, or being putting an arm on their shoulder and giving them the confidence needed. So it's a lot of things from senior players, and I've been a senior player myself, and I try to take care of the younger players as good as I can, and you try to motivate them, you try to tell them how to play their game, what to do in certain situations, and sometimes you just need to tell them that they are good enough and they just need to continue doing what they are doing. And but in the in-game situation, I think we need a lot of leaders who can direct the place. We saw the Dallo Euro situation, totally off sync with those two guys, and for me it tells me that we need someone to command the back line, for example. And I feel that a lot of these players, Bruno, for example, he loses a lot of focus on his own game when he's supposed to be the leader. We saw it with Maguire when he got the captaincy. His standards or his performance dropped. So I don't think you can force someone to be the leader. It has to be a natural attribute of your personality. And at the moment, we don't have many of them in our squad. The only one I can think of is actually, I think it's Martinez. I think he's a natural born leader, and the way he talks and lead by example. But we need more leaders in this squad. So yeah.
Yeah, totally agree. Nathan, thanks very much for your question, mate. I know you've got a few in tonight, so we'll come back to some of yours shortly. Question here for Phil from CH27. CH27. Anyway, should we drop Onana for the rest of the season? Can you see Diaz starting? That is a very interesting question, actually.
Yeah, I mean, it could happen. I mean, I wouldn't be sort of against it if that was, the way it played out. I think if he obviously did drop Onana right now, I think that would probably, shatter his confidence, because obviously he's come off the back of a howler again.
GMA.
And as a goalkeeper, I think, you can get away with making a few mistakes here and there, as long as, the rest of your games, generally good and your distribution's decent and you sort of a commanding goalkeeper. But I just don't have, much belief in this fella. I just don't see it. I don't think he's, a great shot stopper. I don't think he reads the game well enough. He makes far too many mistakes. So, I mean, give Binder an opportunity by all means. Again, I don't think his distribution's that great, though, from what I've seen against Arsenal. He was kicking balls out of play, and obviously he made a few great saves in that game, and he had a really good game in terms of his saves. But I think, nowadays, the keepers have got to be just as good with the feet. The way, obviously, the managers and stuff want to play out from the back. You've got to be comfortable on the ball. So, yeah, it's a tough one, that, really. I mean, for me, I think he'll personally stick with Onana for the next few games at least, unless he sort of has another couple of real stinkers, and then his hand's going to be forced. But yeah, again, personally, I'd give the other guy a go. Me, I would like to see what he's made of, because I think Onana's been really, really poor recently.
Yeah. I think we're in a bit of a what have you got to lose situation, isn't it? Because I mean, look,
I don't think people could criticise him. I think it's, as you say, he's in a position now where I don't think the keeper would be surprised if he did drop him, because he could drop me. And on the flip side, if he keeps him in, he's like thinking, well, obviously he's playing a fine line here with what options I've got. Do you know what I mean? He's got to give a chance at some point if this continues the way he's been.
He needs to go to the AFCON again, doesn't he? Get dropped at the AFCON and then come back, and he had a pretty decent.
And tell you, Simba, thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, that's lovely. Thank you, Jarvis, the man, the myth, the legend of Norway. Is there's a question for him? No, the internet legend. You are an internet superstar, Jarvis. Jarvis, have you watched Nipan? If I pronounce that correctly, Rusty Shackleton.
Nipan.
Oh, all right. Bloody. See what I have to put up with, Phil. On a regular basis, this is. Oh, I don't know.
You have to work on the pronunciations, Stu.
Yes, sir.
I'm the one to speak.
Yeah. Have you watched Nippon play at all? And is he of the quality for United? He seems a good talent. Rusty Shackelford, that's a brilliant question. I don't know too much about Nippon. I don't know if you do, Phil. So, Jarvis, it's up to you.
Yeah, well, I have watched a little bit, but it's the Norwegian Premier League, so it's really hard to compare the league with the Premier League. He looks really good. He's good on the ball. He has like a technique the same as Odegaard, if you know. He's very in balance. He's very small tricks and flicks, but he's always like.
Is he a winger, Jarvis?
Well, he's a winger, but no, he's a midfielder, a number 8, box to box. But he plays in a 4-3-3, and he's 2 of the 8, so he's an 8/10, I would say. But he can also play as a winger. But he's still young, He's just 18 years of age, so he can become really good. But I would like to see him in the Premier League. But he's like for the future. If you sign him now, I wouldn't expect much for the next 2 to 3 years, maybe, because he plays in that central number 8 role, and it takes a lot of time to develop. And he's not the biggest guy. I think he's 5'8" or 5'9" or something like that. So in I don't know what's. I think he needs to develop his physicality, but he's a really good player, and I hope we sign him. But I don't know what happened. We were linked to him several times, and all the rumors said that he was coming to us, but now I think the only bid that they have received, Rosenborg have received, is from Arsenal. So I don't know. At the moment, it looks like he's going to Arsenal.
Right. Today, has he been compared to Ødegaard?
Yes, he's been compared to Ødegaard.
I saw something about. I didn't realise that was the player. I didn't put the connection. I just have Arsenal looking to sign the next Ødegaard.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I saw. So I didn't put the connection of the player. Yeah. Okay. In that case, I would be jealous because I think Ødegaard's a fantastic talent.
Yes, but even with Ødegaard, as you talk about, we talked about Ahmad, and yes. it's like a 3-year project.
A long time.
Ødegaard, they bought him. Real Madrid bought him at 16. So
long time. Yeah,
it's like a 5-year project, especially when it comes to that position. It's not a fullback or a winger. It's more centrally.
Watch this space. Nathan has asked the same question twice, actually. Nathan Lee Lewis. So we'll just be very, very quickly. Yes or no? Is it time to change the captain? Jarvis, yes or no?
Well, as I said, we don't have many captain materials, but the only one I can think of is Martinez. But no, I don't think we should change the captain right now in the season. But eventually, we need to change the captaincy because I don't think Bruno is at his best when he's the captain. He takes too much responsibility. I had a clip from yesterday's game when you see he's preoccupied, pointing to Dallo and instructing Dallo, but he doesn't scout and look behind him. So when he receives the ball, he instantly loses the ball, and that's he takes too much responsibility. He needs to focus on his own game.
Yes, Phil.
No, I mean, I agree with what you just said. I think I wouldn't change it right now. I think there's too much going on with the squad at the moment to start, adding that into the mix. I think that would just cause another extra added bit of drama that we don't necessarily need at the moment. Even though I do agree, I think it probably does need changing somewhere down the line, but I just don't think now is probably the best time.
I'm in agreement with both of you, although I never paid any attention to my skipper whatsoever. And the mighty Tipton Town paid no attention to me as current captain as well. So I think the captain backing when we were growing up, I think was really important. I think it's lost its privilege, hasn't it? It doesn't mean as much anymore. So, but really good question. Thanks, Nathan, on that one. I do like questions like that. Another great question here from Neil. This is a really good question. A yes or no answer. Would you bring back VTech? And we never really got to see him too much, did we? But all the reports I heard from him, he's a fantastic talent. So, would you bring back VTech in goal?
Well, if it's up to me, I think he looks good. He plays in the Bundesliga for he's from the Czech Republic. He plays for Bayer Leverkusen, don't he? I think.
I'm not quite sure.
I'm just gonna check out his stats, how many games he's played this season, because I think he started as second keeper. Yeah, he have had 10 appearances, 11 goals conceded, 4 clean sheets. So he's actually doing quite well.
Yes, no, yeah. He is. Phil, what do you reckon?
I'll take him.
Yeah,
I'll take him.
You know my thoughts on the goalkeepers at the moment.
I do. Yeah.
Give anyone a chance. Bring back Taid.
Yeah, well, I was thinking about going in goal for us. To be fair, Phil, that would be pretty.
Yeah,
cool.
I mean, to be fair, I don't really know that much about this VTech, but
he's quite tall. He's quite tall, isn't he, Jarvis? Really athletic. Yeah.
I would give anybody a go at the moment. The way I'm feeling in terms of like the goalkeeping situation, so I'll just go with give him a chance.
Oh, he's in the Austrian Bundesliga. My bad. I was I see someone in the chat pointing out. I was thinking of that other guy. Kovar was the guy I was thinking of.
Okay.
Yeah, he plays for Leverkusen.
Okay, lovely. Neil, I hope that answers your question. Thanks very much for that question, pal. Question for me from Fred, the Reds MUFC News. Do you think Amarim made a mistake? Yeah. Letting Rude go, would you bring Rooney as a striker coach? I actually do think he made a mistake, yeah. And it's got nothing to do with continuity with having a Manchester United player on staff. It's all about ability with Rude. He oozed ability. He just knew where to be. Now, I interviewed Andy Cole about 5 years ago, and I asked him, how did you garner that instinct, when, to play within the penalty box? He turned around to me and said, you can't really coach it. It's natural. But he said you can coach up to 90% of it, but you can't actually coach. And me and Phil have spoken about this before. If you've ever tuned in and listened to Phil, he will tell you himself that the last few inches of where he wanted to be was instinct, knowledge of understanding, reading the game. Yeah, knowing who was crossing it, etc., etc. And Rude and Rooney, to be fair, Fred the Reds has that ability. I think it was a mistake to let Rude go. And would you bring in Rooney as a striker coach? Absolutely. Why wouldn't you? It's all about learning and feeding off the very, 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 very best. The very best in the game. And Rude and Rooney were the very best in the game. So it's a resounding yes for me. What about you guys? What do you think?
Yeah, I agree. Sorry, Jarvis, I'll keep it short and sweet. I agree. I think Rude would have been a great person, for someone like Hoyland, who we're talking about at the moment, in terms of, he's struggling and not really got anyone to learn from. All right, Rude's obviously not going to be able to play and sort of do things, but obviously, when you've got someone who's been there and done it at the top level, to sort of speak to him on a daily basis, and I'm sure Rude would have been hands-on on the training ground, showing him little bits of, information and sort of little bits of golden nuggets of movements and just little things that you can sort of learn and work on, would have been priceless. Same with Rooney, obviously his managerial career has not gone as he probably would have wanted to, but in terms of him, learning as a striker and people looking up to, how to play that position, there's not many better. So yeah, he would be brilliant to bring in, and I'm sure the fans would get behind him in that kind of a role, 100%.
It's no consequence. It's no surprise, really, or coincidence that the best managers were mediocre players.
I would bring back Ollie. That's just my
No,
take.
you're right. No, you're right. Rude, Ollie, Rooney, anyone like that. Yeah, I totally agree. Got one more question after Trev's. Can I admit I was at fault for all 5 of it? Absolutely. The mighty Tipton Town. Phil, we played a team called Ensley. Do you remember the old Ensley Division 1, 2, 3, and 4 years ago? Sponsored by Ensley.
I think, it rings a bell. I do vaguely remember something like that.
Yeah, we played in over 55s teams where 90% of the players have played pro and semi-pro, and
ringers, loads of ringers.
Yeah, we got a couple of ex-Forest Green strikers, proper fucking players, and we got a bit of a tank in yesterday. But I did say to the lads, the mighty Tipton were well beaten, but it happens, doesn't it, Phil?
Yeah, you gotta hold your hands up sometimes.
I just said to the lads, guys, I mean, we played against some ex-pros a lot, within our league. And I just said to the guys, look, at the end of the day, you're not expected to beat a team of, ex-pros and, high-level conference players. You're not expected to beat players like that. So it was a bit of a humbling for us. And Trev, I will admit to being at fault for all 5, just to cheer you up tonight. But I love the experience, though. I love it.
Sometimes, I mean, as silly as it sounds, especially like when you're playing amateur football and lower league football, sometimes you learn a lot more from getting a bit of a hiding, sometimes from a better team, because you learn a lot more from, so obviously you're not used to playing against strikers that maybe did some of the stuff that they was doing. So from your point of view, it's like a bit of a learning curve, and I need to be better and I need to improve there. And obviously as a team, we need to be a bit better in terms of, how we, react when we've got teams that can do this, and this. So again, you've always got to try and take positives away from, even when you get a tonking, you've got to take some positives, I suppose.
That's the way I look at it. No, that's the way I look at it. But brush yourselves down. The mighty Tipton Town are back next week.
Yeah.
So we're on home turf, though. Home turf against the mighty Perth also.
Yeah.
Let's get it win. Final question tonight, guys. And again, I think this is a really good question. Abs has pulled out a beaut. Do you 3 believe in Ruben as the manager to take us forward? I will answer that very quickly, and I'm going to be really short on this one, Jarvis, for once. Yes, I do, and I'm going to leave it at
that. Okay.
Jarvis.
Well, yeah. I like that you believe in the manager, but I believed in Ten Hag. I believed in Ole. I have to say, for me, I think you have to back the manager for it to succeed. And now you see again a new manager coming in. I don't feel that he's entirely backed. We are halfway into the first transfer window, and nothing is happening, and we are struggling on the pitch. We have played without the left back for a season and a half at least, and this should be number one priority. It should have been on the list right away. The first day the window opened, they should have brought Amarim a left back. Here you go, left wing back. But we, so again, I feel that they are not backing the manager fully how they should. I like what Amarim's saying. He's so good with the media. He's honest. I like his honesty.
I love that. Do you know what, Jarvis?
Yeah.
I've listened to a few people, to the ex-pros, and it winds me the fuck up so bad, except Troy Deeney. Troy Deeney. Everyone else is saying, oh, you can't say that to the players. And I'm thinking, yes, you can. If I was in that dressing room, I'd expect it. Troy Deeney comes out and says, why can't he say it? He's fucking right.
Yeah,
he's right. And Jamie Carragher was saying, oh, if players wanted the down tools, they've now got an excuse. Actually, it's completely the opposite, isn't it, Phil? You're in that dressing room and you're getting a public dressing down like that. What are you going to do come tomorrow? You're going to stick two fingers up and prove him wrong, aren't you? I'm going to sit in that. Oh, dear.
You'd hope so. I mean, you'd hope so, Stu. The only thing I worry a little bit is because of some of the players' mentality nowadays. I think some of them will probably see that and be like, "Oh, right, well, and should never be like that." As a footballer, you're always getting tested. You're always getting like little digs and highs and lows and challenges and all that kind of stuff. And it's about how you react. How can you, from sort of adversity and from bad performances, injuries, whatever, how do I react? How do I bounce back? How can I prove people wrong? The only problem I've got is with a few of these players in this dressing room, we've sort of seen over the years, and it's been proven, some of them haven't got the minerals to sort of come back from deficit, sort of adversity and things like that. So I just worry that a lot of them won't react in the positive way. That obviously the manager's entitled to say whatever he wants. I think he's done it in the right way to try and get a reaction out of the players. Right, whatever people can read into that, whatever they want. But I don't have a problem with it. If I was in the changing room and the manager had said something like that, the fire in my belly would be burning to get straight on the training pitch and sort of prove him wrong and to want to show him that, I don't want to be a part of Man United's worst ever team. I want to prove to him that,
Exactly. But
so
we're talking to a winner. Talking to a winner
in the
Yeah.
We're talking to a winner when we talk to you. Yeah, sorry, Jarvis, but we're talking to a winner, Phil, when we talk to you. You talk to me, you talk to Jarvis, you talk to winners. We can't be doing with this nonsense.
No.
Oh, got upset. Oh, can I? Oh, Dad, did you see what he said about me?
That's what it's like now, Stu. Honestly, I've been involved now with a couple of teams, and I've been involved, and you can't say anything to some lads now. Even in like non-league level, some of them they've got like agents and they think they're untouchable and all this kind of stuff, and they're putting in performances that are nowhere near the level that's good enough. Like obviously some of the United players are at the moment, and when you try and give them a little bit of a that was nowhere near good enough today, they can't take it. It's like as though you're attacking it, like a personal attack on the sort of character. It's not. I just want more. I just want you to be better. I want you to know that what you've done today is nowhere near good enough. I want a reaction. Can you be better? Can you prove me wrong next week? But some of them now, mate. Honestly, it's so fragile, and you have to be careful. You have to be careful with obviously the way you go about things because it's so sort of heightened now, and the scrutiny on all the.
Well, why do we put up with it? Because if they can't handle it, they're not cut out to play in the top level football. Why? It's easy to just separate the good players from the bad players. If they can't handle the pressure, they can't handle criticism or a pushback. Well, you're not supposed to be a professional footballer. Then that's just the way it is.
No, and I 100% agree with it, and I think
I agree, Jarvis.
I just think now because the player power, the sort of length of some of these players,
that's the problem.
they haven't got as much. What's it? They haven't got as much pull. Like managers and stuff haven't got as much pull as what they once had. I think back in the day when I was there, Fergie said something like, "You're doing it no matter what." Obviously, and if you don't, you're out the door. Now, obviously, if a manager comes in and says something because you've got the comfort and you've got like a 4 or 5 year contract on whatever it is, and you can say, "Oh right, well, I don't fancy doing that." And what are you going to do about it? Are you going to get rid of me? No, you can't because I'm on 4 year contract. So you have to hide a little bit, and that's where I've got a massive issue now with giving too much too soon, giving too many players big contracts, big money before they've even done anything, and then you sort of setting yourself up for a fall because you've got no sort of wiggle room to be able to keep dangling a carrot for him and making them want to be better and improve because you've given them everything already. They've done nothing, give them everything, and now
it's ridiculous.
Comfort zone is well and truly in play. And that player now can decide, oh, well, actually, I'm all right here where I am. I'm all right in the mediocre, turning up for training, giving it, 7 out of 10. No, we need everyone to be turning up 10 out of 10, extra, going above and beyond, doing everything you can to be better as a team. And we're not in that moment at the moment because there's too many. Once 1 or 2 do it, you've seen it. Like you've seen Rashford and you've seen some of the. That has a domino effect, and then other people, the younger lads, if that's how you behave, then you can get away with it, and it has an infectious, within the change room, it's infectious in the wrong way because then you've got players looking at others going, oh well, if he's not going to be asked, why should I be? If he's going to, throw the towel in or give 50% this week, I'm only going to give 50% this. That's the wrong mentality, and the culture is completely different from when I was at the club, which is why I get so frustrated and I'm so passionate really about obviously the way we should be, going about things, but we can't. It's because the players have got all the power nowadays. But to answer the question, I'm behind Amarim. Sorry.
No, I know you are.
Me too. I'm also behind Amarim, and what we touched upon now is actually a really, really interesting topic, and maybe we should make a show on this maybe next Monday or another corner show with talking about the players' attitude and how to take criticism and feedback in the modern game, because I think you gave a lot of interesting knowledge and insight there, Phil, and I want to go deeper on this subject, and I saw the chat also reacted right away while we talked about it. So
I like to hear a story of when Phil was 9 years old and he went into Sharpie's place and he started playing his drum kit just before Fergie came and bollocked him in Giggsy. I'd love a story like that. Anyway, so we ought to close the show on with Jarvis, really.
Yes. Before we go, I just want to bring this up from Rushmano. It's just a quick update. Girona and Coma are both in the race to sign Eric Garcia from Barcelona. Why do I bring up this? Because this is the key for Rashford. Because Rashford is linked to now he's linked to Dortmund. He's linked to Bayern Munich. He's linked to Olympique Marseille. He's linked to AC Milan, so many clubs, but he wants Barcelona. He will wait for Barcelona. Yes. So if this deal happen, I think it will be the end of Rashford at Man United, at least for this season. Will be alone most likely. So we just have to wait and see. But it's been a great show. I see people in the chat say Trevor Wade coming in and say love listening to Phil. He needs to be a lot more at the expense of Stu.
Well, obviously, it wouldn't be the same, Trev. You're absolutely right. It wouldn't be the same.
And D-Day Superfly also agree that Phil is quality. It's good to talk to someone who actually knows the game from the inside and has some wisdom and knowledge about the football. Daniel P comes in and say great show, good knowledge in the chat too. Yes, always knowledgeable people, and you always are polite and you have a good tone in the community, and this is what we like from the Tactical Devils, and this will be a community for everybody. We respect all opinions, and we keep the footballing debate going on. So thank you guys. Thank you for watching. Oh, we have Never the Fall coming in. I'll have to rewind this. I don't know, is it Cass or is it Mo or who else? Yeah, big up Never the Fall. I watch you guys all the time. So yeah, it's been a good show. Thank you guys. It's been great. 2 hours 34 minutes. So we will. Oh, it's Cass.
Big
Big
show.
up, Cass. Big up, Cass. Whenever you want to come on the show, send me a message. It will be great. Okay. So that's it. 2 hours, 35 minutes. It's been a good show. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Trevor, Romano, Cass, Elite Baller, D-Day Superfly, The Routinator, all of the moderators for keeping the chat civilized. It's been a fantastic show. So many good comments. Sorry we couldn't interact as much when you have Phil on. We want to do like more of an interview and a conversation about football, and I hope you found it interesting. So thank you for tuning in, and we will be back on Wednesday. Oh, you're doing footy, but I will be back maybe Wednesday doing a Glasgow Rangers preview for the Europa League. So guys and girls, stay tuned. Smash the like, subscribe, and all that jazz. See you on the next. Bye-bye.